is suing her niece, office manager Kimberly Kayla, for having her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly is countersuing, claiming Alice broke her arm.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 22 on the calendar, the matter of Moore versus Kayla.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Whew. Family that certainly does not get along well. Miss Moore, the defendant is your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that she had you falsely arrested for assaulting her last year during the time that your mother was ill and dying.
Yes, ma'am.
You went through a trial recently and were acquitted.
Yes,
found
ma'am.
not guilty. And you're suing her for the false arrest and for the year that you spent facing these charges. The defendant says that the charges were true and that she is counterclaiming for her injuries. Her injuries, I believe, were broken arm.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your mother ill last year?
My mother became ill early in January, but she really got bad in March of, it was 2003.
And when did this incident occur with your niece?
March the 10th, after I flew to Texas to be beside my mother who was dying at her home.
So you tell me your version of what happened, what led up to this incident.
Saturday afternoon, my sister, Brenda, had instructed me to give medication to my mother every 4 hours without stopping. And it put my mother in a very...
What kind of medicine was it?
One was a morphine and the other one was for anxiety.
Did your mother have cancer?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of cancer did she have?
Cancer of the liver.
So the morphine was prescribed to keep her calm.
Yes, ma'am, but on the prescription of the bottle, it says every 4 hours as needed. And my question was, that night she was totally out of it, and my brother he was there that night, and he had to pick my mother up out of the bed because she could not move at all. And we did not give her the medication every 4 hours like my sister had instructed. And I had asked my other sister in the morning about the medication.
So that caused a problem with your niece?
They were all upset because I would not give the medication like that. But anyway, Sunday night, I left and went out to another sister's house to rest. And when I came, that morning on Monday, my daughter and I came back in the afternoon, and I come to the conclusion I couldn't handle seeing my mother's death.
Okay.
Because of my heart condition and my nerves.
Okay, you couldn't handle it. Okay.
And I was talking to my husband on the phone, and I told him he could reach me. I was on the porch, and I told him he could reach me out at my other sister's. Brenda got mad at me, and I don't want to have a consultation with my mother dying.
Why was she angry with you? What was she saying?
She just felt that I was there trying to take over. And she was already had said that she was going to come out there and whip on me on Monday, and I didn't pay any attention to that in a phone call that we had.
Was that over the medication?
Yes.
Is that so far, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, step up. Brenda, what were you angry about?
I wasn't angry with her. I was actually relieved that she was there to help us because we had 3 months prior of taking care of my mother. Everybody was stressed out. It was a bad time. My sister had called me and she told me that the hospice people had told her not to give my mother the medication except when she needed it. I told her specifically, Alice, when you're there, you do what you need to do. I told her I was calling a meeting with the hospice people on Monday. The whole family would be there. We could all understand. I learned more about death than I ever wanted to know with my mother. And I didn't want to go through this by myself. I wanted my sisters there. I wanted help. Right. So when we asked for a meeting, she said 10 o'clock. My sister couldn't be there. She was so concerned about my mother and the medication, but she couldn't be there to see what the hospice people... We were doing exactly what they said. Exactly what they said.
Which is medicating her every 4 hours and not letting the pain grab hold of
Right.
Well, and
right.
they
That's
told us,
exactly how they explained it to her,
right.
to us. You know, when the pain kicks in, this is how she's going to be. Don't let the
Don't
pain
let it
come.
get there.
You know,
Right.
we'd been there with her. We didn't want to let the pain come. Nobody, you know, she was going to die. We knew that. We wanted it to be peaceful.
I got it.
And that was my mother's wish, to die at home.
Kim, tell me what happened in the kitchen on the 10th of March.
Well, I was in the bedroom with my grandmother, and I heard them in the kitchen. And she's telling her, you know, you took her out of the nursing home. You shouldn't have took her out of the nursing home. She's going to die. She's going to bleed. You know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And they were telling her, then leave. You know, that's fine. If you can't take it,
Put your hand down, Ms.
leave.
Moore.
You know. And when I looked outside, she was slapping at my mother. And another one of my aunts stepped in. Well, she grabbed her and she threw her down to the floor. Alice threw my other aunt down to the floor. Her name was Billy.
Go ahead.
And then of course, I had walked in there in the middle of this, and my brother walked in, and she started screaming at my brother. And she was screaming obscenities that you would not believe. And she was, you know, then she started out the door, and my brother went out after her. Well, I went out after him. Then she coming out there, and she's telling me, you know, we need to just call an ambulance for Billy, you know, we need to just go. So I'm going back in the house, and I get the phone to call the police. And as I walk back outside, because I'm hearing screaming now back at the porch. And I'm like, well, I thought she was going to leave. She wasn't leaving. And it's because her daughter over there was telling her, you don't have to leave. They can't make you leave. This is your mama's house. You don't have to leave. You know, her daughter was put in the quarter. And she knows if you push her, she's going to lose it. You know, she has a history of violence and just psychotic behavior. And I look at her and I told her, just go, just get that out of here. You know, that's why I told her, just get that. And I'm pointing at her, and as I'm pointing at her, she grabs this arm, and she pulls me down. Her daughter steps between us, and she popped my arm down over her daughter's shoulder. It broke this bone up here into pieces. They had to go in and put a rod, you know, have a permanent rod in the middle of my bone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was leaving and they attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alice Moore says her niece, Kimberly Kayla, had her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly says during an argument, Alice broke her arm.
What happened to Billy?
Billy was taken to the hospital also, and she had some sciatic nerve damage in her back.
She was taken to the hospital that day?
Yes.
Okay.
But Billy and I were both taken to the same hospital in the same ambulance.
What hospital?
To Spine Memorial Hospital.
Do you have a police report for me, please?
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay, Ms. Moore, coming back to you. Now we're going to come to the point in this story where you're going to tell me your version of how her arm got broken.
Well, first of all, there was a consultation in the house, and Brenda held me and Kim, and I have a sworn testimony from the court where my attorney said, and you slapped her, and she said yes. At that time, she hit me.
Just a second. Who slapped you?
Kim hit me in the face with the telephone while my sister held me in the kitchen and would not let me leave.
Let me see the testimony. Oh, well, she says, do you remember slapping Alice? She said, yeah. I told you in the kitchen when she was pulling my hair and we were going back and forth. And you slapped her? Yes.
But, Judge, I could not be pulling her hair.
Just a minute. Don't explain. You have to read me the whole thing, Miss Moore.
Okay.
She didn't just admit slapping you. She said you were pulling her hair and you were going back and forth and she slapped you.
At the time she slapped me, I had my hands restrained by my sister Brenda.
I would like you to tell me how her arm got broken.
Well, from there, I went outside and was leaving. At that time, her brother stopped me from going to the car. He pounced over the porch and pulled his hand back to hit me. And you're looking at a guy, I wouldn't take my eyes off because he lifts weight and he could have killed me. And he said all kinds of things to me as I was trying to leave. My daughter
Just a second.
stood in
So
between us to stop it.
Okay, so your daughter got in between you and her brother.
Right.
Okay.
And as I was looking for my granddaughter, Kim.
Just a second. If your daughter got in between the two of you, why didn't you go back to your car?
I was going, but my granddaughter had the keys to my car.
Where were you looking for her?
Right there in front of my mother's house.
Well, you just have to look. How old is your granddaughter? Is she a little teeny girl?
Yes.
How old is she?
I thought she was about 11 or 12. That's what she looks like.
How old?
She just turned 18, Judge.
So she was 16 at the time.
15. She hadn't turned 16 yet.
15 at the time. Well, you're not looking for her on the ground, madam. Listen to me. If you're looking for your granddaughter who's outside, and the people who are outside, according to you, your nephew, and your daughter, that's 3 people. That's who you told me were outside, and you were looking for your granddaughter around that area. That
and Kim came off the porch, charged off the porch with something and hit me in the face, and I could not see. I put my hands up, and I have pictures of where she hit me in the head, and I couldn't see at that time.
Just a second. Hold on a second. Show me the pictures that you have. I don't see anything wrong with your head now.
I had a goose egg right here.
Not according to the police report.
The police did not come and check me out at all or anything. I went to the hospital, to the emergency room.
Let me see the medical records from the hospital. According to the police report, when they spoke to you, there was nothing wrong with you, except you were complaining of chest pains. That's according to 2 police officers. Listen to me. That's what the police said you complained of. Not a goose egg on your head, not being hit on your head. They took you to the hospital for observation because, listen to me, because of the chest pains. What I want you to do is give me the hospital record.
I don't have that part.
Well,
I could not get that part in time for court today.
Well, that's unfortunate because you've had over a year to get that hospital record. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Your Honor.
Were you there?
I talked to her at 7 o'clock.
He was on the phone when I went in to tell her I was leaving.
She was leaving.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't.
My daughter, Frankie, was there.
Oh, I believe Frankie was there. You can step up, Frankie. I believe you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
How did your cousin's arm get broken?
By her brother yanking her arms. When she had my mother's head, she grabbed my mother by her left hand, with Kim's left hand, by her hair, yanked her head over where she's completely bent over. My mother's face is touching the cement. Kim's brother runs from behind Kim and grabs Kim with his arms like this, and he's pulling her, and she's hitting my mother upside the head with a cordless phone in her right hand, and I grab at the phone, and Scott is pulling Kim at both of her arms backwards. No one touched her arms except for her own brother.
Okay, fine. You can sit down. It's very unfortunate when everybody gets stressed out in a situation where...
What was unfortunate?
I'm speaking. It's very unfortunate when people get stressed and angry because somebody who's close to them is dying. And put the picture down, madam. Pay attention to me. The first mistake that you made was not listening. Your mother was dying of liver cancer. The instructions that you were given to give her morphine every 4 hours were the appropriate instructions. I am not a medical person, but unfortunately I have been in situations where I know that you're not supposed to wait until you are in pain, as needed, when you are dying. You're supposed to keep medicated so that the pain of liver cancer doesn't take hold. So these people were taking care of your mother for months before you got there. And then pay attention, try to get it through. And then you come to the scene and decide, this isn't right. The medication says as needed. I'm not going to give her the medication every 4 hours. And everybody is annoyed at that situation because you're sort of a Johnny-come-lately. They've been there for months taking care of the situation, making decisions without you. They took care of, they were the ones who were up at night, they were the ones who were feeding, and all of a sudden you show up and decide to change the rules. Big mistake. You weren't saving your mother's life, Miss Moore. She was going to die. I'm speaking. She was going to die anyway. The question was she going to die peacefully and not in pain ever? Or whether you were going to try, your method of treatment was let her get a little bit uncomfortable and then we'll give her the medication as needed. Unfortunately, you made a mistake in your choice. I do not believe your daughter when your daughter says that you were beaten over the head with a phone, because there is nothing in any of the official records, including hospital records, which you had every opportunity to get over the last year and a half, that suggests that when you were admitted to the hospital for your chest pains, they noted bruising and swelling on your head that would be consistent with your being hit over the head repeatedly, according to you, and according to your daughter, with a cell phone. So I do not believe you were falsely charged. And I believe you broke her arm.
Oh, ma'am,
I believe
not.
that you... I'm speaking.
I did not. I was leaving and they attacked me. Okay. That's all I was doing was leaving.
You may have convinced you, Miss Moore.
You may have... I didn't care about what medicine they gave Mother. They attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Listen to me. I don't want to go any further with this, Miss Moore, because
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Speak.
I swear I did not.
Listen to me very carefully.
Where's the Bible? I took a lie detector's test even, and I did not touch them.
Your case is dismissed. Did you have any unreimbursed medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What were they? Unreimbursed medical bills.
I have $7,000 right here.
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Right here, accidentally dented your car with a shopping cart.
Correct.
You believed he and his mother are responsible
Correct.
for the dent. Ms. Boucher says neither she nor her son are responsible for the dent on your car. So tell me where you were when this happened and when.
Okay. On the evening of April 20th, I was driving my car in a shopping area, and as I was getting ready to cross a speed bump, this little boy here, he yells, "Watch out," and a shopping cart came crashing into my car. And he says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, it slipped out of my hand." And there were cars behind me, and I wanted to pull into a parking stall to get out and look at my car. And I did, and there was a small dent in my car, and then I tried to find the little boy, and he was gone, and I didn't know what store he went into.
Okay, so you did not see him with the shopping cart in his hand?
I saw him pulling out the shopping carts, and it came crashing into my car.
Madam, I want to know exactly what it is that you saw. Don't make anything up.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
I read your complaint, and what you just testified to is different from your complaint. What you just testified to was you saw the little boy.
Yes, I did.
And you saw the cart hit your car.
Correct.
But you never saw his hand on the cart.
Correct.
And he said to you, "I'm sorry, it slipped out of my hand."
Correct.
Is that what you saw?
That's what happened, yes.
Is that what you saw, is my
Yes.
question. So you didn't see him trying to pull the cart out of the long row of carts, and it
Correct.
slipped out of his hand, right?
Right.
All right, because that's what you wrote in your complaint. So that was a mistake. You were mistaken about that.
Yes.
Should not be mistaken about that, because you signed it and you read it. You say, "I noticed a young boy standing on the sidewalk and pulling a shopping cart out of the cart holder." And my question to you is, you didn't see that.
I didn't see him pull the cart out.
All you saw was him standing there,
Yes.
the cart coming towards you,
Correct.
and the cart hitting your car.
Correct.
And then he yelled, "Watch out."
Yes, he did.
And then, according to you, he said, "I'm so sorry, ma'am."
Yes, he did.
He didn't say, "I'm sorry it slipped out of my hand." That's not what you said in your complaint.
But that is what he said. He said it slipped out of my hand.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Russell Voucher,
Russell, how old are you?
9.
Have you ever watched this program?
Yes,
How many times have you watched it?
a couple of times.
And I think that your mom is very proud and very supportive of you, right?
Yes.
And I think you're a nice boy.
Thank
So you're going to tell me the truth today about what happened that day, even if it was a little different from what you told your mother. Got it?
Yes.
Because otherwise, bad things are going to happen here.
Okay.
Got it? Okay. Now, your mom went in shopping,
Yes.
and at some point she told you that she needed another cart.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I went out to get another cart, and when I went out the exit, there was one right next to the exit on the left-hand side. So then I was grabbing that cart, and then I saw it going. I ran after it, and I yelled,
Now you
"Watch
grabbed
out."
the cart. Stop right there.
Okay.
You grabbed the cart. How did you grab it? Show me with
This.
So you grabbed it and you touched the handlebars,
Yes.
and then you tried to wheel it around,
Yes.
and then what happened?
And then when I saw the shopping cart going,
So it slipped out of your hand.
because like there was 2 carts. I was grabbing one out of the cart stack, and then there was one on the side of the exit. I was grabbing the one out of the cart stack. I didn't grab it completely. It was halfway out, but it wasn't that one that went. It was the one next to the exit that went.
Okay,
And I
but you
ran
touched
after
it. Your cart touched it. The one that you were pulling touched it.
Yes.
And then you went inside. When you went inside, did you tell your mother?
Yes.
What did you tell your mother?
That I saw a cart that was rolling down. I started running after it, and I couldn't catch it. I said, "Watch out," and then that's all I told her.
But you didn't tell her about the fact that you were touching the cart with the other cart, and that's when it started to roll down.
No.
All right, she's going to love you anyway. Right, Mrs. Boucher?
Yes.
Not hard. You sent him outside to do a job that perhaps he wasn't equipped to do. I certainly have some trouble trying to get those carts out of those cart holders, too, when we go shopping. You pull one, and all of a sudden you get 30. You don't want 30, all you want is one. But I'm very glad you told the truth today. Okay?
Yes.
Good. Got it, Mrs. Boucher? It's a little different.
Right.
Not a major deal. Good for you.
Thank you.
Told the truth today? If you had told your mother the truth right then and there, we might have avoided this whole problem. So you have to remember that for the future, okay?
Yes.
How much is the cost to fix your car?
$601.
Wow, let me see. What kind of a car do you have?
I have a 2004 Toyota Highlander.
Let me see. You have pictures of the car?
Yes.
There's a ding in it.
Yes. That's it.
There are 2 dings.
The shopping cart, it dinged it.
Well, I'm going to give you some advice, okay? I also have a very nice car, and somebody last week dinged my brand new car, and we called the ding doctor. And for $150, the ding doctor comes to your house and pulls out the ding. Not 600, 150. And I am sure, where do you live?
In Rancho Cucamonga?
Ah, that's in California.
Yes.
Where every person has 9 cars. I guarantee you, you will find a ding doctor for $300 that will come and pull out these 2 dings in your car. Okay? Not 600. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Thank you. And this is one of the dumbest contracts that I have ever seen. And why 3 seemingly intelligent people would enter into such a ridiculous agreement is beyond me. And why the attorneys who represented you in the sale of this cabin would allow you to enter into this agreement. Maybe it's because you're young, but you're not that young. So this is what it's about, Bert. Listen, careful attention.
Got it.
Miss Schmitz had a cabin that she was very fond of. It was a vacation cabin. However, as fond as she was of the cabin, she decided to sell it. And she sold it to Mr. and Mrs. Mather, a lovely young couple who wanted a vacation place. Where is this cabin located?
Sasheen Lake, Washington.
Beautiful, on a lake. However, Miss Schmitz wasn't prepared to totally let go of this cabin, so she maintained, through a letter of intent, with the Mathers an agreement that twice a year she was going to be able to use the cabin for a week each. Once Memorial Day, where she had a big party every year, and once during the summer. These folks agreed to that condition. Now, the first week she used the cabin, according to her, everything was okay.
Yes.
But when she was planning the second weekend, Mr. and Mrs. Mather were having second thoughts already about this agreement. So they sort of, according to her, made it unpleasant. They didn't give her the key to the cabin. They said, we're not giving you a key. We'll unlock it, and when you leave, you lock it, which sort of, to her, made her a prisoner in the cabin because she couldn't leave for the whole week. She was afraid the cabin would be unlocked and unattended to. And then she found her stuff piled up because she sold the cabin furnished. Anyway, because of what she considered a breach of their contract, she hired an attorney to sort of get involved. So she is suing them now because she wants the attorney's fees that she expended to sort of make sure this weekend took place. And then when she went there, you flew there, is that right?
Yes, it's over 300 miles from where I live.
So did you fly, is my question.
Yes.
To make a long story short, she didn't stay. So she wants them to pay for her airfare and for some stuff of hers that she says was missing from the cabin. I don't know what could be missing since she sold it. I don't understand that. Mr. and Mrs. Mather say, well, they really weren't thrilled with her coming for the second weekend because they had heard via neighbors about the previous weekend, but they never told her that she couldn't come, and that when she was there previously, she broke some things, she took some things, and also for lawyers' fees because they had to get their lawyer involved to talk to her lawyer about this alleged breach of contract for the second week vacation. Did I sort of outline it pretty well?
Yes, you
Yes.
did.
Idea was this sail with tentacles.
Laura.
Your Honor, it was my idea because I was giving up thousands of dollars in a prepayment penalty so that they could get their own financing.
You bought the cabin when?
In '94.
And you bought
A
it,
20-year contract.
which said,
$1,000 for every year and partial year that you end the contract, and it was an assumable contract.
just a second. You're talking about a mortgage?
Correct, a contract.
Oh, just a second. It's not a contract. You're talking about you had a mortgage. That was an assumable mortgage.
With a prepayment penalty.
Oh, now I understand. We're talking
I'm
apples and
glad you
oranges.
understand.
All right. She had an assumable mortgage, but if they wanted to pay off the mortgage, if she wanted to pay off the mortgage early, there was a penalty. If she got somebody to assume her mortgage on the cabin, then there wasn't a penalty. And you did or did not assume the mortgage?
We didn't assume the mortgage.
You didn't assume the mortgage, so that it cost you $10,000 extra, in your way of thinking, to sell it to these people.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let me tell you this, Ms. Schmitz, that's a skewed way of thinking because all you have to do is find another prospective buyer who'd pay you an additional $10,000. But what you don't do is say, well, I'm going to sell it to you, but I want to be able to use it twice a year for free, forever, because that's dumb.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
It's very.
It's not the last cabin in the world.
No.
So how long have you been married?
8 years?
8 years, yeah.
How difficult is marriage?
It's hard.
What?
It's a lot of work.
And you love him.
Yes.
Right? You don't love her.
No.
You just signed on to be married to her
I know.
forever.
That's right.
And our family
Yeah.
warned us
Jesus.
and warned us. I know.
Family.
My mom. I know. She knew.
You don't love her. She's a stranger. You don't know if she's a nut. You don't know what her friends are like. You don't know if she's a slob. You don't know, whatever. And you have married her for as long as you have that cabin. And I don't even know if this provision of 2 weeks goes with the sale of the cabin, does it?
No, it was a
it
side.
doesn't.
So now I'm really going to try to help you. What's it going to take, Miss Schmitz, to let them out of this stupid deal?
Well, she told me on this.
Shh. What is it going to take, Miss Schmitz, to let them out of this stupid deal?
I would like to be paid for the money that I lost.
$4,000.
No, a lot more than $4,000. And today is not about the prepayment penalty.
Just a second. Who do you live with?
Myself.
You have to find something else to do with the next 5 years of your life other than sue these people. because the contract that you entered into was dumb. The prepayment penalty for your mortgage had absolutely nothing to do with selling them this property with this 2-week provision. It's dumb, and you should finish it today. And you should allow me to help you. I'm prepared to help you. If you don't want me to help you, I don't think you're going to like the judgment today. Do we understand each other? You have to find another purpose for living other than this cabin. You have to let it go. Now, if it's going to cost $4,000 to let them out of this ridiculousness, it will give you the opportunity to spend the next 4 years someplace else, $1,000 a week, celebrating your birthday, Memorial Day, or whatever else you want to celebrate. But you have to let them out of this ridiculous bargain, because otherwise what they're going to do is, as much as they love the cabin, they're going to sell it to somebody, maybe even a relative, to get out from under this ridiculous commitment that they made. So it's my job to try to reduce the amount of litigious behavior we have in this country, not expand it. So I am prepared to help you, Ms. Schmitz. Do you want me to help you?
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you again. How much is it going to cost to let them out of this ridiculous contract?
Your Honor, I'm out $4,000 in addition to the thousands I paid in the prepayment penalty.
They're not responsible for your prepayment penalty. That's your bag. You could have said to the realtor, one of the conditions of a purchaser is someone who is going to assume my mortgage so it won't cost me an additional $10,000. How much did you pay for the property, Ms. Schmitz?
$62,094.
How much did you sell it for?
$131.
So that's not bad, and you had the use and enjoyment of it, and you doubled your money. And even if you say, well, you had a prepayment penalty on your mortgage, take off $10,000, $121. So you doubled your money in 10 years. That's pretty good, right? So I'm going to ask you again, what is it going to cost to let these people out of this ridiculous contract that you both entered into?
Your Honor, I wasn't prepared to talk about the prepayment penalty.
I just talked about the prepayment penalty. Did I make sense to you?
Yes.
You think it's going to make more sense to retain a lawyer, sue them, continue to sue them, because the lawyer's going to charge you money. I would charge you money at the rate of $500 an hour. So, and a lot more aggravation. So all I'm telling you is you have to find a life other than suing these people. It's over. And I am prepared to help you. I would take me up on my offer.
I will.
Good. So let's go again. How much is it going to cost to let them out of this ridiculous contract? Then I'm going to ask them if they're prepared for it.
Since the maximum I'm allowed to ask for of the $15,000 is $4,000, I guess that's the maximum I can receive.
Well, I'm going to let you amend your complaint to ask for $5, because that's the jurisdictional limit of this court.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to come to you. Ms. Schmitz is prepared to have me enter an order that says, upon the payment of $5,000, that she will declare null and void the requirement that she use the house for 2 weeks a year, and then you will both withdraw these claims. What do you think?
I agree.
That sounds good.
Sounds great.
Very smart.
Now we are.
Okay. You have a copy of the letter of intent that forms the basis of your lawsuit? You prepared to withdraw at this point your counterclaim?
We do.
It's going to be a very simple order that I will sign, you will sign. So I'm going to ask you to wait outside. Bird will call you. Yes.
Your Honor, in good faith, I offered them the use of negate that offer.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We don't want to use her home.
Absolutely. You don't want to use your home. You don't use their home. Go. Goodbye. Have a happy life. Good luck.
Thank you.
I've read your complaint, which alleges that the defendant breached a written contract that you had with her for child care. At some point, she terminated your services, you say, without good cause. She owes you some money. And in addition, she filed false charges against you with Child Protective Services, which required them to investigate your home, investigate whether or not you should continue to be licensed as a child care provider.
Yes,
Ms. Linton says that she took her children out of your care because you placed them in a situation that could have been dangerous. And she is counterclaiming for the potential harm that you did to her children. So when did she take the children out of your care?
On the 1st of July.
Tell me what monies you allege she owes you.
I'm alleging she owes me all that is paid through the county. She called me and gave me a 2-week notice and didn't fulfill it.
She gave you 2 weeks' notice when?
The day after in question, I guess it would be the 2nd of July.
On or about July 1st?
Well, may I tell you a little bit previously? Because I had not been keeping her kids. The end of school had come, and so we started making arrangements again for me to start keeping her children again. Miss Linton leaves her children home alone. I only was keeping her youngest son.
Shh. Don't interrupt her. I just want to know what happened on 7/1.
Okay. The day in question, I picked her children up.
How many children?
I picked all 4 of them up.
How old are they?
They're 13, 9, 6, and 1.
Is that your son?
Yes.
How old are you?
12.
Is that the one that you said was 13?
Yes, I was told he was 13.
You're 12?
Yes.
12, 9, 6, and 1?
12, 8, 6, and 1.
Okay, go ahead. So you picked up her children, 4 children.
I picked up her children, and the day in question, I had a class I have to take. There are certain requirements through the county that you have to take classes. So I had a class. Gloria McMillan's a friend of mine, and I have her watch them. She's watched her kids many times before.
Is Miss McMillan a licensed daycare provider?
No.
Are you permitted under your contract with the state to leave the children with unlicensed daycare providers?
Yes.
You are?
That I'm aware of.
No.
I've never...
Shh. Listen, I don't need any help, and this isn't a tea dance. Not that you're aware of.
Not that I'm not aware of, exactly.
Oh, okay. So, Ms. Burks, did you have to take classes in order to be a child care provider?
Yes.
Did they do a background check?
Yes.
Criminal background check. They did fingerprinting?
Yep.
Photographing?
Yep.
So you went through a process before the government says we will pay you money to watch children.
To get my license, you go through that process.
That's right. To get your license as a child care provider, you must go through this process.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't go through the process.
Okay.
So nobody has to tell you that she's not permitted to take care of the children.
No.
I'm telling you that unless you are vetted by the state so that you can get a license, you can't give over the care of 4 children to somebody else.
I understand that now.
Good. What happened next?
Well, I haven't even gotten to the beginning of that day because I would like to tell you the whole day.
I want you to tell me what happened when you left the children in a car. That's what this is all about.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, then get there.
Okay. On the day of question, I picked her children up. I went to the county building, had some paperwork to drop off for my father. I take care of my father, who is terminally ill, dying of cancer. After that, I went and picked up Gloria McMillan to watch the children for me. On the way home, I stopped past the party store. Getting out of the car, I said, guys, you guys wait right here. I'm going to run in the party store real quick, let my daughter pick out her party invitations. And we proceeded into the store. I left their children in the car. And on my way out of the car...
Where was she?
She went into the store to speak to a friend of hers that worked at the register in the store.
How old is your daughter?
My daughter is 2 now.
The daughter who was picking up...
Yeah. I have a very bright 2-year-old.
Just a second.
What 2-year-old would be in?
I'll give you this last opportunity. Then you're going out. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let me understand this. First, you went to take care of some business for your father, who you take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And you took the children with you.
Mm-hmm.
Had this lady been watching the children yet?
No, she was not with me.
Just a second. Who was with the children when you dropped the paperwork off?
I was with the children.
Did they come into the county building with
Actually,
you?
no, they stayed outdoors and played. I never thought any of this to be a problem at all, Miss Linton.
Well, Miss Burks, it's a problem. That's what we're doing now. I'm going over the day.
I understand
I'm going over the day because it's getting worse as we go
No,
forward.
ma'am, this is already worse. I understand what I did was completely wrong.
Well, if you understand that, then, Miss Burks, I don't quite understand why you're here. Because from what I read in the complaint...
Miss Linton is slandering my name.
Just a second. If what you're telling me is you picked up her children and you had your 2-year-old in the car, you went to the county building.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take your 2-year-old inside with you?
To the county building, yes, ma'am, and her son.
Shh. And her 12-year-old or her 1-year-old?
Her littlest son. They stayed outside and played basketball.
You went inside and you took your 2-year-old and her 1-year-old into the county building. And her other 3 children stayed outside alone.
And played on the playground.
I don't care where they played. They stayed outside alone.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you come back to the car and you went and picked up this lady.
Yes.
And then 2 adults, your daughter, went inside to a store and you left her 4 children in the car, including the 1-year-old.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how long were you in the store?
Maybe 5 minutes.
So that's what the case is about. It was the next day that she called and gave you notice.
Right, but that's not what she called me and said the next day.
What did she call you and say the next day?
She called me on the phone. When I answered, I said, hello. She says, I'm giving you a 2-week notice because you have a problem with my son. I said, no, ma'am, I don't have a problem with your son. Your son is a child. You're a liar.
No. Listen to me. Miss Linton, don't speak to her. Okay, go ahead.
I said, no, ma'am, I don't have a problem with your son. Your son is a child. Your son has a problem with following adult supervision. And this is not the first incident that I had an issue with her son. I said to her, your children were throwing rocks, and I asked them to stop. When I asked them to stop, her son looked over at me and said, I'm not throwing rocks, just like that, with a handful of rocks. So I said, I'll just call your mom. When I called her on the phone, she said, let me see if I can remember her exact words. They know I don't play that. I'm going to beat them when they get home. I said, okay, I'm just letting you know it's not acceptable in my house. People have nice things around here. I don't want to be responsible for anything that happens. And that was it. We got off the phone. Later that evening, I had to have my father rushed to the hospital. I was under a lot of stress. Her kids were still outdoors, not paying me any mind, not listening to anything I said. And when she got there, you could see the agitation in her face, you know.
Where does your father live?
He lives with me.
Ms. Burks, your plate is too full.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Now, when you accept the responsibility taking care of someone else's children, you have to take care of them sometimes better than their own parents take care of them.
I did.
No. Listen to me. If you have 5 children,
I made a very big mistake, and I would never do it again.
You have 5. Listen to me. I'm not even going there. The car, totally, 100% unacceptable. And she had every right to call Child Protective Services and say, you left 4 children in the car, including a 1-year-old child, and I'm complaining about that.
I never said she was wrong about that. What she's wrong about is that she wants to point the finger at me when she's a bad mother herself. She leaves her children home daily.
Miss Burks, listen to me. If we were involved in some other forum, I would say to you, fine, we can vent upon who's a better mother, who's a bad mother, who's a good mother. We're here because you sued her for 2 things. For money for child care and for filing a false report to Child Protective Services. Whether she's a good mother, whether she's a bad mother, whether she's a wicked stepmother, whatever she is, she did the right thing by calling Child Protective Services to report that you had left the children alone. Your plate is very full. When you accept children into your home as a child care provider, you're supposed to do more with those children than just be a body there. You're supposed to play with them. You're supposed to provide them with activity. With
Are
you.
you asking me if I did
No,
these
listen
things,
to
or
me.
you just telling me what I'm supposed
What
to
I'm
do?
telling you is, if you have a 2-year-old toddler yourself and a father who is terminally ill with cancer that you're caring for in your home, it is impossible to set up a home, your home, to be an appropriate and adequate child care provider.
Well, Judge Judy, that's your opinion. I disagree. And my father was not diagnosed with lung cancer when I took care of her children. Through the process of taking care of her children, he was diagnosed with lung cancer.
You told me the story, madam. You said I had to drop some papers off for my father, who was dying of cancer, who I was also caring for. You told that to me.
But you're saying to me...
I'm saying to you,
in general,
with
or
your
that
own
day?
children, that day.
Okay, yes, ma'am, okay.
That day, that's all you need is 1 day. That's all you need is 1 day to miss a child. You know, they missed a couple of children on another coast, and they ended up in the trunk of a car.
I actually investigated myself. There's a lot of bad things that happen to children that get left in cars, and I'm very aware of it.
Absolutely. Ended up in trunks of fire, and they didn't get them in time.
Do it again.
So what
I would never do it again.
So you don't belong in court, Miss Burks?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Miss Linton is going around town saying bad things about me. I am not a bad person.
Just a second. If you have information or witnesses that she's saying anything about you scandalous that have to do with other than your child care abilities, I'll be more than happy to hear witnesses to that.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know what, if she's saying things about you, about your personal life, that you have a disease, that you're a thief.
No, she's just basically in a nutshell saying that I'm a bad person. Her exact words was that I'm not cracked up to all that I'm supposed to be.
Listen to me. That's her opinion. And she can say that, and not all speech is actionable in a court. What you did as a child care provider was wrong, so you have no basis to sue her for either the money that you claim she owes you or for calling Child Protective Services. None. She's got a counterclaim.
Yes, I do.
Your counterclaim is that she left your 4 children in the car.
Yes.
Were any of them hospitalized?
No, they weren't hospitalized.
Just listen to me. I have questions. Any of them treated by a physician that day or the next day?
No.
Okay, so they suffered no injury. Who are you?
I had the kids the following day, and the 1-year-old was throwing up 2 to 3 times.
You're a liar. And I have never seen this one before. She did not have the 1-year-old the next day. I kept her son overnight.
I am a licensed.
I kept her son overnight.
I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. So far, you have no case.
That's fine. I don't care if I don't have a case.
Good.
She will not sit here on national TV and lie about me. I kept her son overnight, you liar.
Miss Burks, I've already explained in a calm fashion why I'm dismissing your case.
That's fine.
Miss Linton, you have no counterclaim against her. You have no proof that her actions caused illness to any of your children. You were perfectly within your rights to take them out of her care.
Her illness
and I'm speaking.
Nasty.
I'm speaking. And you were perfectly within your rights to call Child Protective Services to report the neglect. Other than that, you have no claim against her because her actions, while they placed your children in potential harm's way, did not cause any injury to your children. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all. Step out.
Harm's way every day.
You're a liar.
Home alone.
Liar.
Parties are accused. You may step out.
That's it. Finalized. Your husband cashed a check from a student loan that was yours. It was a refund check. And in addition, he has some property that belongs to you. This all came about because after you were married, your husband, who was in the military, was stationed in Germany. You went to Germany. You have one child together.
Yes,
and things didn't work out. You came back to the United States. It is your claim that the military sent some property after he left the military, and some of the property that they sent to his house belonged to you.
That's correct.
Your former husband says that he did, in fact, deposit that check into a bank account. It was a joint bank account, that you withdrew that money from the bank account. And as far as the property is concerned, you had said to him on more than one occasion that you had no interest in any of the property that you didn't take with you when you left Germany.
Yes, ma'am.
When were you married?
We were married June 9th, 2004.
And when were you divorced?
April 12th, 2006.
This refund check was when?
The refund check was, it must be dated in March of 06 or 05, I believe. It was for the 2005-2006 school year.
Well, it had to be 2006. You said it was before the divorce was final.
Yes.
The end of February 2006 is when it was.
Do you have any documentation?
No, sir. No, ma'am. My account's been closed at that bank for over a year now, and they said that the records were not available to me, or their exact
Well,
words.
it's a joint account.
It was a joint checking account with both our names on it. Yes, ma'am.
When did you leave Germany?
January 8th of 2006. These are the bank statements and a copy of the check as well.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
Because, Mr. Fowler, you would agree that if you deposited the check into the account, which is what you said you did,
Yes, ma'am.
if that same amount was withdrawn by the plaintiff, the bank statement would indicate that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I haven't seen it yet. But if it doesn't indicate that that same amount was withdrawn, you would say that you were mistaken, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's see what happens. The two of you had separated at that point, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing forging her name to this check?
She asked me to.
Tell me about that.
She asked me to sign it and deposit it because I asked her if I wanted her to mail it, and she said no, she did not have a bank account back home yet that she could deposit the check into or get it cash, so she asked me would I deposit it. We both had debit cards to the same account, and I was putting money in the savings account for her to withdraw out of.
You were depositing money for her support and the support of your child?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
That's not correct. I opened a bank account as soon as I returned home to Delaware in January because I began work in February. That check was cashed on April 11th of 2006.
ATM withdrawal, AMT SH transfer. What does that mean?
It means that when he deposited that check, he transferred it into the savings account.
On April 11th. On April 11th, were you speaking to each other? I mean, the divorce was finalized on April 12th.
Probably not, to be very honest with you, Your Honor.
I'd like you to take a look at this, sir. It appears as if you deposited this check
Yes,
on
ma'am.
April 11th, and then it was transferred to another account.
To our savings account where she could get the money out with her debit card in Delaware.
Well, then you should have a joint savings account, sir. Do you have that?
Oh, we had one at the time.
Well,
That
you should
checking
be
was-
able to get that, sir. It comes from the same bank, doesn't it?
I don't have that account no more. Neither one of them. They're both closed.
But she has the information on this account, sir, and it's your problem to establish to my satisfaction that you didn't take this money yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
It doesn't indicate here that she got this money. It indicates here that you got this money.
I deposited it in our savings account and transferred it right to our savings account, right where she asked
Well, then you
us
should
to.
have brought that information here for me, sir. It's easy to get. We're not talking about something that happened during the Civil War.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He forgot. All right. Now, the other part of your lawsuit has to do with property.
Yes, ma'am.
What property?
There are some personal property items that when...
You know, I'm relatively unimpressed by this property baloney. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, because I think you're a smart gal. Why don't you tell me why I'm unimpressed with this property?
Because it's just property.
Because if you wanted it, you should have taken it with you.
At that point in time, I could not, ma'am.
Why?
Because all I could take were the suitcases. I was only allowed a certain number of suitcases.
You don't have to take it with you. You ship it.
He was supposed to do that, Your Honor.
What about you? You're leaving. You say, this is mine. This is yours. You pack it up and you send it. 2 years later, you don't come to court and cry because you don't have what? A music box? What do you want?
Just what's mine.
What?
It's clothing, shoes.
Should have taken your clothing and shoes with you.
Took
He
as
doesn't
much
have.
as I could.
He doesn't have your clothing and shoes anymore. I guarantee you, he's not using them.
I hope not.
He doesn't have them anymore. What else?
Items of
They're
our
out
sons.
of style anyway.
Items of our sons.
What?
Toys, clothing.
Your son grew out of the clothing from 2006.
Yes, ma'am.
And he doesn't play with the same toys.
No, he does not.
So what are you making a big deal about?
Well, we've actually been fighting over this since the shipment arrived last May.
It's over. What else are you fighting about with him?
Back child support. But the state of Delaware is handling that.
It's already been handled and arranged to make payments. I've got my child support comes directly out of my with whatever's paid to go back because I was stupid and sent her cash instead of sending her a check every month. So that was my own stupidity, and I admit that. But I'm paying the back child.
Listen to me.
I know.
Why did you send her cash? You mean you put cash in an envelope?
Yes, ma'am.
You put cash in an envelope.
It's illegal. I know.
Right? I'm 6'2". You were in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want me to think badly of the military, do you?
No, ma'am, not.
Well, then why would you make such a stupid statement that you put cash in an envelope and send it to her? Nobody puts cash in an envelope. I don't even put $1 in an envelope to send it to my grandchildren. Don't you watch 20/20 and 60 Minutes and everything else, what goes on? Cash doesn't arrive. $5 doesn't arrive. How much were you putting in cash in the envelope?
Anywhere from $200 to $400.
Ah!
And she got it every time.
She got it every time. Really? Did you get the $200 to $400 that he sent you in cash?
Every month.
Every month.
No, ma'am. He has not paid prior to November 15th of 2006. I have received no money from him except for $200 in February.
How come they didn't take money out of his check?
We have just had the court order established, the state of Delaware.
We just got our child support through the courts just not too long ago, is why the child support just got established.
Well, that's
And
ridiculous. You were divorced in
still,
April of 2006.
The custody battle is still going on as we speak.
What kind of custody battle?
There is no custody battle, Your Honor.
Last year for his birthday, I drove 12 hours from where I live in Georgia to Delaware to see him on his birthday and got to spend 4 hours with him, at which she walked around the mall with me and my oldest son and Harley and my fiance. Now, she wasn't at the time, and wasn't with him at all.
Why did you bring your girlfriend with you?
Because it's a long drive and she helped me drive. And we had just gotten off work. We went up there in 2 days and came right back. Went up there and came right, I mean, it was just a round-robin trip just to see him for his birthday.
Where did you move to when you left Germany?
I moved back to Delaware and with my parents, who've been very supportive.
Where had you married?
In Delaware.
Delaware.
In Delaware?
Mm-hmm.
And where had you met him?
In Delaware.
In Delaware. Where did you move to?
Georgia.
Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, listen to me. If I had a child and I wanted to be near my child, a child that was born in Delaware, where I married in Delaware, where I lived in Delaware, I wouldn't have moved to Georgia.
I got another son in Florida also, so
well, then you got to learn to keep it zipped, sir, or at least get it geographically suitable.
I got it taken care of.
Geographically suitable.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to pollinate half the civilized world, sir? I would suggest you do it in the same state. You owe her $1,046.09. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Theron, Monica's mother.
Okay, but you don't know anything about this case particularly, do you?
No.
Except that the car belonged to you.
Belongs to both of us.
Are you both on the title?
Yes.
Why don't you sit down for a moment? You're Monica?
Yes.
This was your boyfriend?
Yes.
How long was he your boyfriend?
For about 3 years.
Monica, you say that he broke your cell phone and vandalized your car.
Yes.
He says he didn't do it. So tell me when he vandalized your car.
It was like about 1:30, and he showed up at my house.
1:30
in the morning.
On what date?
July 28th.
Where were you?
I was at home.
Who else was at home?
My sister.
It was 1:30 a.m. Do you live with your sister?
Yes, I do.
What does your sister do for a living?
She works at Premier Real Estate. She's a
And what do you do?
receptionist.
What do you do?
I'm a cashier.
Where?
At Rite Aid.
How long have you been working there?
In October, it'll be a year.
Mr. Trujillo,
Yes.
what do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a tattoo artist.
You work for yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
What does that mean?
I'm not working at a shop right now.
So where do you work from?
Out of my house.
Are you licensed?
No.
Do you have to be licensed where you live?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in California.
And in California, you don't need a license to give somebody a tattoo with
No,
a
you
needle?
don't.
That's a big mistake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you need a license to give somebody a pedicure,
Yeah.
but not to give somebody a tattoo.
No.
You
Not.
sure about that?
I'm positive about that.
Anyway, you make a living at this?
Yeah.
Well, especially since you have no overhead.
What's that? No. What? No. What? No.
Overhead.
Overhead? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was over my head. Sorry.
Unfortunately, Mr. Trujillo, that was true.
Right. Sorry about that.
All right, Miss Vasquez, why don't you tell me about what happened on the 28th of July?
Okay, he showed up at my house and he knocked on my window. I came out of my room and I went to the garage because he went around the house. And I had told him to leave because my sister did not want him around her house.
Why did he come there?
He was...
He said you called him.
No, I did not call him.
You say in your papers, sir, that you went over to the house at 1:30 on July 28th because she called you.
Yeah, we had been talking.
No. Because she called you on July 28th. That's
Okay.
why you said you went over there, right?
Right.
And how did she call you? On your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have your cell phone records?
No. I'm sure if I went and got them, I could bring them back to you. I mean, if you wanted to, another
We
day
don't
or
do
something.
do-overs here, Mr. Trujillo. What we do is, when you're coming to court, you're supposed to be prepared. You know what it's like, Mr. Trujillo? You do tattooing
Yeah.
in your house.
Right.
Let's say you made an appointment with somebody who's going to get a really big tattoo. They were going to pay a whole lot of money
Yeah.
for the tattoo. And let's say they arrived and they sat down for you to do the tattoo and you forgot to buy ink.
Right. Yeah, it's happened a couple times.
That's what it's like, Mr. Trujillo, when you come here without evidence.
Yeah, I understand.
With just your good looks and tattoo. That's what happens. You're supposed to bring evidence, bring proof. So we have no proof that she called you to arrive at her house at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so you went outside and you told him to disappear.
Yes.
And what happened?
And by that time, my sister had came out because she heard the knock because our rooms are right next door. And she had went out and told him to leave her house because she was going to call the
police.
Because the incident with the phone.
Oh, so the incident with the phone happened first?
Yes.
And that happened about a month before?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay, I was at work, and I get out of work at 10, and he showed up at my work, so I left.
Had you not been seeing each other?
No.
Go ahead.
And I left my work, and he followed me down the street, and he was telling me to pull over, and he was next to me in my car. And so I pulled over because he was coming closer to my car, and he had said that if I didn't pull over, he would go to my house and, break windows. And so I pulled over, and he had got my phone to check it for what, I don't know, we weren't together. And I was telling him to give me back my phone, and he was like, "You want your phone?" So he cracked it in half and gave it to me. And so...
Had he been drinking?
Yes, he had a beer in his car.
Who else was in the car?
He was by himself that night.
You got to get a job out of the house, Mr. Trujillo.
Okay.
Listen to me, sir. First, I want you to tell me who these people are that you brought with you to court today.
I brought my dad to court with me today and my brother Fabian. This is my dad, Johnny, and Fabian is Silo.
Yeah, and you all live together?
No.
Do you live alone?
No, I live with my uncle.
Why?
Because my dad has recently moved, and he had moved in with someone else, and there wasn't enough room, so I actually went to live with my uncle.
And where does your brother live?
With his grandpa.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old's your brother?
19.
Who did your father move in with?
His girlfriend.
Was there a time you were all living together?
At one time, yeah.
When was the last time you lived together with your father?
About 2 months ago, I lived with my dad in Visalia.
And your brother also lived with your father?
No. My brother has always lived with his grandpa in Tulare.
Did you break her phone?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Well, tell me what happened, Mr. Trujillo.
Me and Monica had been seeing each other before this incident with the cell phone happened. We had been talking, and we had been texting each other, and she had told me that she got out of work at 10 o'clock, and that if I wanted to see her after work. And I said, okay, cool. I had the car, so I said, okay, I'll meet you at Taco Bell. So we went, and we met at Taco Bell parking lot, and we were there. Everything was fine. We were talking, hugging. Everything was cool. And then a call comes through on my phone. And when a call comes through on my phone, it was a ringtone, as, you know, the ringtones, like I know you've heard them, like the lovey-dovey ringtones, like the, You know what I mean? Like the guy and girl together ringtones. You know what I'm talking about or no? Like, I mean, I could sing one.
Special song or something.
Like, I mean, I could sing one for you. If you want me to sing one. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, at the time when that had happened, we were both kind of looking at each other because I was already like, okay, you know, something's wrong, I messed up. So Monica had...
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that time, Monica had snatched my phone out of my hand. And when that had happened, she snatched my phone, and I reached for it back. We kind of got into an argument, a little conflict, you know what I mean? And
Who was calling you, Mr. Trujillo?
just a friend.
Boyfriend or a girlfriend?
It was a girlfriend.
The timing was really terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't expected.
It was messed up.
Yeah, it was at the right time. So when that had happened, I was leaning up against my car, and Monica had thrown my phone at me. But when she had thrown my phone at me, somehow, and you can tell she has little hands. I don't know how she had both phones in her hand, but when she had thrown it at me, my phone rolled over the car, the hood of the car, and her phone hit my car and broke. However it broke, it was snapped in half, and that's basically what happened.
When he met you at Taco Bell, had you told him that you were going to be out of work at 10 o'clock?
No, he called my work around 10, and he said, I was around the corner. He goes, I'll be there right now. And I was like, I'm going home, I'm leaving. And at that point, my boss had opened the doors to let me leave earlier than everybody else, because I had told him. And when I got in my car to leave, he was already at the corner, and that's when he just followed me.
You think if I called her boss would say that they opened the door and let her out a little early?
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
What's your boss's name?
David Centeno.
Give me his number.
It's my phone, and my phone is out there.
The Rite Aid number, 67816. There you go.
7816? Now, Mr. Trujillo.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
When somebody tells me I tend to disbelieve everything that they say, especially when I have to get my rather sizable keister off this chair and go in the back to make a telephone call. Do you understand?
Oh, yes.
Now, I am prepared to do that.
Okay.
Unless you want to revise your version of the cell phone events.
No, ma'am. No, not at all.
Okay, so let's call Mr. David, because he doesn't have any clue that I might be calling him. He is going to tell me whether or not he let her out early because you were going to come over.
Right.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Yes, is David Centeno there, please? David, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. How are you? Good, thank you. David, I have a question for you. I'm here trying a case with Monica Vasquez. And I want you to think back to sometime around the end of June of this year, in the evening when she was leaving. There was an incident with her boyfriend when he called the store. Do you remember that? Could you tell me what happened, please, David? Mm-hmm. Okay. Wonderful. David, you're a very, very nice man for speaking to me. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Boss is a very nice gentleman. Mr. Trujillo, I suggest you spend a little less time tattooing and piercing yourself and a little more time honing your truthful skills, sir. Honing your truthful skills. Ask your father what that means. Honing your truthful skills, sir.
Oh, okay.
Because Mr. Centeno says that he remembers the evening very well. You would call the store. You said, I'm going to get down there before the store closes. They let her leave early, and they stood there to watch her get in her car and take off before you got there because she had already broken up with you, and she was afraid about what was going to happen if you got there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So now I believe very little, sir, of what you're going to tell me. So now he owes you a cell phone. Now I want you to tell me what happened when he vandalized your car.
Okay, that was the night he showed up at my window.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you came out, you told him to leave. Sister came out, and you told him to leave. And I understand that there were other people with him.
His father and his brother.
Two geniuses.
Yes. And they were all drinking.
Two geniuses. Well, they can't live together, so at least they can drink together. I guess that's what family's all about. Go ahead.
And my sister had told his dad to keep him away from her house. And his dad didn't really understand what was happening because Lyndon didn't let him know about the night with the cell phone. So he didn't understand why my sister was...
I think if there wasn't a cell phone, his father wouldn't have understood. Go ahead.
So after that, my sister had told him she was going to call the cops and get a restraining order on him. And at that time, Lyndon was mad because his dad had told me, well, then I don't want her calling him or at my house. And I had said, I haven't called your son and I haven't been to your house. And at that time, Lyndon had got mad and they were drinking. So he kind of like pushed my sister. And at that time, when he got angry, my sister ran to the house to call the cops. And at that time, I had ran back to the house too because he was still mad. And he followed me to the garage door on the side of the house. And when I closed the door and locked it, I could feel him trying to open it. He just went to the front of the garage where my car was parked, and I heard a loud noise. And at that time, I had lifted the garage door up because my sister had came out, and we seen him leave the side of my car and get into his dad's car, and the two trash cans were against my car, laying against my car.
You have pictures of
Yes,
the car?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Outrageous. When did you purchase this car?
Last year in November.
Bought it yourself?
My mom helped me.
Who pays for it?
I do.
Paid the insurance too?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up next to him. You came here, you might as well stand up here.
Monica Vasquez says ex-boyfriend Lyndon Trujillo owes for vandalizing her car and for destroying her cell phone.
What were you doing out with your son at 1:30 in the morning?
We had went to the club,
What club?
El Presidente,
What were you doing at the club?
dancing.
And drinking?
I was, yes.
With whom?
Females,
All different kinds?
pretty much, yeah.
So if you were dancing and drinking with a whole bunch of females, you weren't watching what your two sons were doing.
Actually, he was on his cell phone the whole time we were there, text messaging and back and forth. And I went to him and asked him, who you texting? And he said, Monica. So,
And that's what he said to you.
yeah.
That's what he said to you, but you don't know that that's true.
No, but if I may, Your Honor,
Yeah.
the day before the cell phone incident had occurred,
Yeah.
she came to my house, and my dad was coming up from work, and she was coming downstairs. I was walking her down to her car. And that's why I don't understand really how it could go from her being upstairs in my house and me and her being together in a relationship or working things out, and then to...
Well, were you working things out or were you in a relationship, sir?
No, we're working things out to be in a relationship.
So what did you go there at 1:30 in the morning for?
Because we had been texting each other. We had been texting and talking to each other, and...
Did she invite you there?
Yeah, I had her on speakerphone because I was the designated driver.
Yeah, she had told him.
Yeah, she was in the car. She knew that the speakerphone wasn't on.
That her sister was asleep, the kids were gone, for him to go over there and visit to see her.
And what were you going to do?
I just sat in the car because I was drinking.
And what about him?
He was in the back seat.
So the two of you were just going to sit there in the back seat of the car,
Well,
in the
actually,
front seat
yeah.
of the car, while he went inside to visit with his girlfriend?
They didn't go inside. They stayed outside in the driveway.
Fine. So he goes over to see Monica, and how did her car get dented?
When we got there, Monica had stepped outside. She was walking towards her car. We pulled up, and she went like this, like waved us over there. We all three got out of the car, walked over. She showed us a dent on her car and said that she had got into an accident with a motorcyclist. And me and her made a few comments back and forth because I had just recently wrecked my Harley. And I had told her, So anyways, we said a few statements back and forth. And then me and Fabian went back and got back in the car. They stayed there talking, hugging, kissing until Marie came outside. And Monica flipped the whole script when Marie came outside. Because she was upset.
Were you at his house the day before?
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
When you send a text message, could you save those things?
They stay for 14 days.
Huh?
You can lock them.
Save them, right?
Yes, you can.
Show me.
Your Honor, I don't have my phone with me. I don't have any proof right now, Your Honor, so it's...
Why don't you, sir?
Because I came unprepared. I came on intentions of knowing that what I know is true.
Is everything that you said just now as truthful as you went over to the store the end of June, invited by her to come over to the store?
What, to her store, Rite Aid?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to Rite Aid.
Oh, no.
No, I said I went to Taco Bell. I drove to Taco Bell. She was at Rite Aid when we had talked on her.
Why would you think, Mr. Trujillo, that she would say to her boss, concerned, I just want to get out of here before he comes over, and the boss distinctly remembers all the employees watching her get into the car to make sure she was safe and leave?
But I wasn't in her parking lot, though.
I don't care whether you were in a parking lot or not, sir. Why do you think that boss would remember that?
Oh, yeah, no, boss, no. I'm not saying that. She got in her car, but I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you, though, is that I did not go into her parking lot.
No, what you said, Mr. Trujillo, was that you had an appointment to meet in Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And that, sir, is a lie. That, sir, is a lie.
That we met in Taco Bell?
It is a lie that you had an appointment to meet at Taco Bell, because when she heard from you, she asked her boss if she could take off because she was concerned about her safety. They all watched her leave.
Then why would she have pulled into Taco Bell if she knew that she could have got away from me?
I don't know what you were doing, sir. And I don't know what your drunken father was doing or your drunken brother was doing on the night this happened with the car. I have no clue. All I know is, sir, you lied to me once, and you also don't know the law in the jurisdiction where you live, because you're required to have a license to tattoo. Sir.
Okay.
And what is your address?
My address right now?
Where you're doing the tattooing?
In a house. On
What is the address?
I don't know my address. I just know it's on Bradley Street. I've only been there like a month, 2 months, so I don't know the address. I don't get mail there.
Did you make more than 3 children or just 3?
Only 3.
Only 3. So far you got 2 losers, right? 1,
I don't consider
2.
them losers, but...
Well, so far they haven't done anything to make you proud.
Sure they have.
I don't see
They
it.
graduated high school. That made me proud.
My God. My God, that's like the 8th wonder of the world.
That's an accomplishment in this family.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
You got to do something with it once you graduate from high school.
Yes, I totally agree.
So pleased that you agree with
I
me.
am.
I've been looking forward all year for a person of your stature to agree with me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. That's all. Goodbye. For some dental work. He did not repay the loan, and in addition, when you tried to collect after you had terminated the relationship, he began harassing you. He says that the money that you gave him for his dental work was a gift. There was never any discussion of him repaying the money for the dental work, and that you are actually harassing him. Mr. Archer, when did you and Miss Guy start a relationship?
We started a relationship towards late during the summer, probably around August.
September 12th, Your Honor.
Is that what it was, September 12th?
Of what?
September 12th of 2008.
Did you at any time during that relationship live together?
No.
When was it, Mr. Archer, that you found yourself in need of dental work?
Actually, we were in the pool one day, Your Honor.
In the pool?
Yeah, in her swimming pool. And she brought up that she was going to go in and have some dental work done and get some cleaning done. And she was scheduling appointments for her daughter. And I said, well, yeah, that's something I got to get done when I have the money, when I'm financially capable of having it done. And she says, well, I really got a good dental plan down the street here. Why don't we get you in? And I said, well, I don't have the money to do this right now. So, right now wouldn't be a good time. A few weeks went by. She kept encouraging me to go in there. So finally I went in there.
What did you go in for?
Basically just x-rays and a cleaning. And it turned out that I needed a root canal and some fillings as well.
Did you have any pain, Mr. Archer?
No, I didn't have any pain at the time.
How did you know that you had problems that required a root canal?
I didn't know that I needed a root canal until they started getting in there and digging in my mouth. So they seen that on the x-rays, they seen that I needed a root canal. And then that's when it was brought to our attention, the total amount, which was $1,717.
So first the dentist took the x-rays.
Correct.
And I should tell you, Mr. Archer, so that you don't feel as if you've been coerced or fooled.
Okay.
Both my father and my brother are dentists.
Okay.
So first they took x-rays.
Okay, yes.
And after the x-rays were taken, you had a consultation?
I had a consultation.
With whom?
With the dentist.
Who was present during the consultation?
Present in the consultation was me and the dentist and the RDA, and then they had notified her.
Don't tell me who they notified.
Okay.
All I asked you was who was present during the consultation.
Just the dentist and the RDA.
They told you that the bill was $1,717.
Correct. That's the work we were looking at.
And what was the next thing that you did?
The next thing I did was just said stop right there, and they notified her. That
Don't tell me what they notified. That's hearsay.
I said stop right there, Your Honor.
And did you leave?
No, I didn't. I stayed in the chair. And
what did you stay in the chair for?
I stayed in the chair so they could contact her and let her know.
Who told them to contact her? It's not an answer.
She did.
She told them to contact her after your x-rays?
Doesn't look like I'm getting any water.
Is that what you think? Yeah, well, you usually don't need water right away.
No, just my mouth is dry.
Would you get Mr. Archer? Maybe there's water in that carafe. He seems not to have any water.
No,
Judge
Judy, she told me to call her and let her know what the bill was going to be. Okay?
It's all in the wrist.
Thank you.
Thank you. So she told you to call her and let her know what the bill was going to be. Did you call her?
Yes.
You just told me that They called her.
And they called her too as well.
No. When did you call her?
Right there, right after they called her.
Well, why wouldn't you call her?
Well, actually, because I had a bunch of cotton in my mouth at the time.
Well, you just had a consultation with them.
Well, yeah, they just came in and the cotton was still in my mouth and they were just explaining to me on the computer.
Cotton was still in your mouth from what?
From them blodging things in there. My gums were bleeding.
No, they just took x-rays.
Yeah, because they had the x-ray pieces in my mouth in there and it disrupted some of my gums.
No, they must have been a lousy dentist.
Actually, a really good dentist.
Absolutely not. I never had bleeding gums from taking x-rays.
Okay.
You ever have bleeding gums from taking an x-ray?
No.
Taking x-ray? No. Doesn't happen. Mr. Rocha, you are so full of baloney. Now that we've finished Once Upon a Time,
Thank you.
and the Three Bears and Goldilocks, how come you got involved with his dental work?
Because he was in the chair and was having the trouble that he had.
What trouble was he having?
Well,
so far I haven't heard any, listen to
Okay,
me, Miss
yeah.
Guy. So far I haven't heard any trouble. So far I heard that he was in no pain, he had no money, and he went to the dentist. And they did x-rays, and they were going to do a cleaning, and they found that he needed all this dental work, but he was in no pain. So I want you to tell me, is that what happened?
I can only testify when I came into the scene. He sent me a text message from the chair stating, they've got my mouth open, they said it's an emergency, I have an abscess. That's why he went in, because he was in pain in his mouth.
That's what you
Thank
said in your complaint.
I did. That's why I'm saying that was what happened.
So he had pain.
Exactly. So
when did he tell you he had pain for the first time?
For the first time when when we were dating, at some point he said, I'm having a lot of pain in my mouth. So he made an appointment to follow through on the pain that he was having in his mouth.
You suggested your dentist?
I suggested my dentist. I had a dentist. My house is across the street from where my girls and I have our own plan. I'm a single mom. I can't put people on my plan. So that's where my girls and I go.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Guy?
I own a fitness ministry, Praise Aerobics.
And what do you do, Mr. Rocher?
I'm a master physical trainer.
Do you work in her place? Is that how you met?
At the time, I was helping her, yes.
When was the last time you worked for Miss Guy? Oh, it's not an answer, Mr.
2 weeks
Rocher.
before December.
He never worked for me, just so I can state that.
Oh,
he was
no,
never an
but I
employee. Did not work for me. He was not a paid employee, no.
That's not true.
Do you get a check from her or cash?
Actually, at the time, I was doing a lot of things for her. And
Like
she
what?
Well, I was teaching her spine elongation techniques and helping her with her back because she has a spine injury. And I was teaching yoga and stretching classes for her clients as well.
For her clients in her establishment?
Correct.
And you were compensated for that?
No, I didn't ask for anything, okay? She was helping me out with my mouth, and I also did other things as well for her,
Like what?
There was gym equipment inside her facility that needed to be tore down and repositioned and corrected, and there were multiple stations, and I did that.
And are you telling me, sir, you told me once before that you worked for her. Work for her usually involves some financial remuneration.
Okay.
Are you telling me that you were not compensated for what you did?
No, not cash-wise, no.
Okay. Now, how long did you do all this work? Months, weeks?
It was during the relationship.
And how long did that last?
4 months.
When did you go to the dentist?
I probably went to the dentist in the second month of our relationship.
What month did he go to the dentist?
October 2nd, Your Honor.
And you put the money on your credit card when he called you and said he had an abscess? Is that what happened?
Correct.
So, Mr. Archer.
Yes.
What you are asking me to believe is, as an old jurist
Okay.
and a dentist's daughter,
Okay.
that it was sheer serendipity that you went for x-rays
Okay.
and they found an acute abscess that
Yes.
required root canal on the spot and a post and crown. Just a second. I'm
Okay.
just asking.
Okay,
That
I'm sorry.
requires
Go
a
ahead.
yes. It was pure serendipity.
Okay.
Or no, I was in a little bit of pain, and we may have discussed that I was in a little bit of pain.
Okay.
Which one would you like me to believe?
I went to do a checkup to see what was causing the pain.
Ah, there we have it. That makes my job so much easier because it was not the baloney story you gave me before. When we air this segment,
Okay.
Mr. Archer, you're going to have to watch what you told me before.
Okay.
Because, you see, you are a prime example of if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Okay.
But if you don't tell the truth, you really have to have a good memory, sir, because otherwise I make you look like an idiot. How much
okay.
does he owe you?
The dental bill's $2,000, but I'm definitely suing for more than that.
I gave her
believe
$500
You gave him $500 for what?
on top of the dental bill.
What do you mean you gave him $500 on top of the dental
Oh, I
bill?
thought it was a gift.
2 weeks later, I gave her $500 a gift. Yeah, right.
Just a minute. Hold on a second. 2 weeks later, you gave her $500 for what?
The bill
But don't look at me. Don't point your finger at me. 2 weeks. I'm looking at your answer.
Okay.
I don't see anything in your answer about $500.
No, but I
so
did.
But
I did give it to her.
For what?
For the bill, to help her out, just like I was helping her out around the house as well, with her business.
Like crazy.
So it dropped it to $1,200, and now she's lying about it.
Hey, listen. If you were honest with me to begin with and said to me, look, it was a loan, but I gave her $500. I don't owe her. Uncross your hands. Uncross your hands. I don't owe her $1,700. I gave her $500. Then we would be in business. You have given me 3 distinct stories. One you wrote in your answer. One you told me just a moment ago when I was about to enter a judgment for. But I gave her $500 for what? As a gift? You gave her $500 as a gift? You gave her $500 towards the dental bill because you owed her money for the dental bill. That's why you gave. That's why you gave her money for the dental bill.
But I didn't borrow the money
Just because I hate liars. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Step out. A friend of yours. She ran into some difficulty. You allowed her to move into your apartment. You claim that the agreement was that she would pay you rent. She did not pay you rent or her share of the utilities, which was also part of your agreement, and you want her to pay you for that. According to you, prior to that, she had borrowed your car, took it to a party, and it came back damaged. You want her to pay for the car damage. Ms. Scott says that there was never a rental agreement between the two of you. You were doing something to be kind to her, and that you only became angry with her when she had some sort of a private conversation with your boyfriend and told him some things that were very personal that she knew about you. You became angry, told her to leave, and then concocted the story about rent. And she would like her personal property back. You indicate that you do have her personal property, and that personal property she's going to get within 5 days of today. She can come either with a marshal or by herself to retrieve her property. Please have it ready for her. So I've taken care of your counterclaim.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's take care of your claim. How long do you know each other?
About 5-6 years.
And when did she move into your apartment?
February 2009.
Where was she working at the time?
Forever 21.
How long has she been working there?
I'm not for sure. Maybe about a few months, 3 or 4 months prior.
And who had you been living with before?
Me, I've always lived by myself.
Perfect. That's the way you should keep it, Miss Wiley. I mean, as far as roommates are concerned, you can certainly meet somebody and decide to set up housekeeping. But as far as taking in a roommate, it's always a problem. What made you open your house to her?
I've known her for a long time. I thought she was a good friend. She didn't have a lot of friends because of run-ins that she's had with her other friends. And then on top of that, she was always coming to my house. She was always crying. She was always upset because she had got into an argument or she was fighting with her dad or, you know, they were having disagreements. So it was total drama. And I told her that, you know, my house is always open if you want to come stay here. So then she asked me, like, how much would it be if I rented? And I told her you would have to pay half rent, which would be about $850 or more a month, including utilities. And she said that would be perfectly fine because she's working, and then that on top of that, you know, her mother and her father would help her with rent. So I told her that would be okay, and so I allowed her to start, you know, slowly and gradually moving her things in.
How many bedrooms do you have?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
So she moved into one of the bedrooms?
Yes.
In February. And when did she leave?
She left in May when I told her to move her things.
You were working all that time?
Yes, I was.
Why didn't you pay her rent?
Because we never had an agreement to pay rent.
Why would she take care of you? You moved into her apartment. You had your own bedroom. You have your own bathroom. Why wouldn't you pay her rent?
Because the only time that I came to stay with her, my father did have problems.
I don't care what the reason is. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Well, 21 years old.
And
you
I
have
was
a
still
job.
living with my family.
You have a job. Are you telling me you didn't live with her?
I stayed with her from time to time. I didn't live with her for a constant, like, month after month.
I'm sorry, she did live with me.
I did stay with her, and I would go home or stay with someone else.
Hey, your problem is you don't have a mind. Because if you had a mind, you would remember what you signed, which was your sworn statement. You want me to read it to you?
You can if you want.
We never once had a conversation about rent prior to me moving in. In April, my family was evicted from their place and was scrambling to find a new home. She allowed my family also to store new things in her apartment. Although I stayed there part of the time, I did bounce from place to place.
Yes. I never moved in permanently. She let me stay there.
Give me the name of the people that you bounced to.
my witness, Latice, and then I went back home with my family.
Last name?
Hampton.
When did she stay with you?
She started staying at my house in May, the beginning of May.
May? Thank
Yes.
you. You may sit down. We're not interested in May. We're interested in February, March, and April.
I never moved in February. I was still at home. She doesn't have a specific date that I moved in.
What stuff do you have in her house that you're counterclaiming for?
I do have a suitcase of clothes.
So you have clothes?
Yes.
What else do you have? You said you have my personal...
Like, in the suitcase, I have, like, a mirror that my sister bought me for Christmas. The suitcase is stuff that we were packing up from the house that my family had to move out of. That's why that suitcase is there. I do have clothes there when I would stay with her. That's the other stuff.
I want to know where else you would bounce to. You said you bounced.
I would go back home. I would go back home and stay with my family.
They were evicted in April.
No, they weren't.
Yes, you said my family was evicted in April.
Not in April, because we just moved out.
In April 2009, my family was evicted from their place.
I never said in April that...
Would you show this to her, please? That's your statement. That's your signature at the bottom.
I know what it says.
So is it wrong?
My family did not get evicted in April. They were still at their house.
So I'm asking you a question. When you wrote that down and swore to it, it was wrong.
Yes, the date is wrong.
Give it back to me. How much rent did you pay your family?
I never paid rent for my family.
Well, you got to pay somebody rent, madam.
I never moved in. We never had an agreement.
You got to pay somebody rent where you're living.
If we had an agreement, yes, I would pay rent. If I never signed anything...
You don't have to sign anything. If we signed it, then I'd be out of a job. Signed it makes it easy.
So
now, let us say I believe you, which I don't, that you weren't there all the time, you didn't live there, you never formally moved in, you never signed anything, whatever else it was. Then she was just being nice to you, right?
Because she was my friend.
She was being nice to you, right?
Yes.
You explain to me why you gossiped behind her back to her boyfriend?
I did not gossip behind her back.
Really?
Her boyfriend texted me when she left for her cruise to Mexico. He texted me and asked, can I talk to you because I have issues with my girlfriend, Isla. I never responded back to him.
You never respond, so you never had any conversation with him?
No.
No, so just a second. So you never, well, then you must be wrong that you never had any conversation with him.
She is wrong.
You want me to call him and find out?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
The only time me and him talked was the night we were going out.
And?
All of us. And he asked me, Paris, I have a feeling that something's going on. And I told him, if you really believe something is going on, why don't you guys take a break so you can figure out your thing and she can figure out hers. She has been having issues with her boyfriend.
Jealous.
Yeah.
She's jealous.
Exactly.
Right. Did she have an arrangement with you to pay rent?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Yeah, I believe she did too. When did she move in February?
She moved in actually 2 days after Valentine's Day, so I'd say the 16th.
So we're going to discount February. We're going to go right to March and April.
Yes, ma'am.
Those 2 months. And your total rent is what?
I would say $850.
Okay, so she was supposed to pay $4 1/4?
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me about the car.
Well...
Make sure I get it right. Do you understand?
Yes. Okay, well, the night before, she drove my car. She had to rent a car because she did not have a vehicle. She went down to the club, and I guess she had the windows busted out. Somebody busted out the windows and stole her belongings.
In the rental car?
In her rental car, yes.
What did they steal?
They stole my purse.
You left your purse in the rental car?
In the trunk, yes.
Go ahead.
So then, with the rest of her problems that she always had, she came to me crying, saying that somebody stole her things, she had nothing, and that she needed to use my vehicle. Because every excuse with using my vehicle was, my family doesn't have food, my family doesn't have money, my sister's left at school, my brother's left here, my brother's left here, can you please let me use your vehicle? So she always used my vehicle. So she got her windows busted or whatever, so the very next night, she wanted to go downtown, and I said, you could use my car. Please be careful.
And? Right.
So she came back with the vehicle. She actually came back with her boyfriend, and they got off the car, and I came outside, and I'm like, what happened to my car? She goes, what do you mean, what happened to my car? I'm like, my car is keyed, and it's really obvious. You could see it at night. The whole car was keyed. Somebody ran the whole key through it all around the frame, everything, and then somebody even kicked it in. Then she told me, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but I'll help you fix it, or I'll fix it.
Just a second. Did anybody that you know see what happened to the car?
No.
Okay, so what happened to the car was a criminal act.
Correct.
And she had your permission to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She's not responsible for it.
Okay.
She's not responsible for someone else's criminal acts that are done to your car if she had the car with your permission. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. But she certainly owes you for rent. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $850. Make arrangements to pick up your suitcase within 5 days.
Okay.
Understood? That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Television set while the two of you were together, and you lived together for a period of time. You separated, and Miss Clegg indicates that you separated because she found out some things that she didn't know about you. Does that be a fair statement? You have the television set. The payments for that television set was still outstanding when she left. It was some $1,200 left.
It was $1,257.
And on whose credit was it purchased?
Mine.
You got the TV.
Yes, ma'am.
You want the TV?
It's my TV, yeah.
It's not your TV unless you pay for it.
I did pay for it.
Show me.
I put...
What date did you separate?
We separated in December.
December 2009.
2008.
Okay. After December of 2008, she says that when you separated, there was $1,257 still owing.
There was only $1,000 owed on it, and I transferred that money into her account in January. 2 transactions from my account to her account for $500 each a transaction. She didn't pay it off in time. Then the interest kicked in. There's 2 transactions. There's one on the first stage. There's actually 3 transactions to her account equaling $1,500. The third one was for a credit card that she said I owed her $500 on, so I paid that as well.
Okay, explain that to me.
He did transfer money into my account. It was for a credit card that he had on my name because he didn't have good credit, so he could not get any credit in his name.
Well, how much was owed on the credit card at the
There was
time?
$400. The balance was $1,000. There's $400 charge, and it says on her attorneys for his divorce. And he also owed me for his child's dentist that I was paying, which I have proof here also that I was paying.
I'm not getting so involved in this complicated case. You understand that?
Yes.
And I want to know how much was owed on this credit card when you separated in December.
$1,062.
Take a look at this, sir.
All that one is the $400.
The only thing on this that I owe was $400, and I paid her $500.
$400 for?
She paid my retainer for my attorney for my divorce with this credit card, okay?
How much?
She paid $400.
Yes.
I paid her $500 for the interest. So I transferred $500. There's 3 transactions there of $500 apiece.
And so what you're telling me is none of those other transactions on that credit card are yours?
I mean, no.
Look carefully.
That's only 1 month statement.
That's dinner.
I wasn't trying to get for that credit card. I was just saying that some of it.
She asked me.
No. Listen to me, Miss Clegg, very carefully. I see he transferred $1,500 to you at the end of December and the beginning of January.
$1,500?
Yeah. 3 payments of $500, 2 on January 7th and 1 on January 21st.
I did not get those transactions.
Those are my bank records from my bank account to her bank account. So I don't know how she couldn't have got them.
Miss Clegg, I just need your checking account for the months of December and January.
Here we go.
December 2008, January 2009.
Do you want the withdrawals or just the deposits that he had given me?
The statement. You should have it. Transfer from. I have 1 January 7th for $500 that she did, in fact, get. There is only 1 on January 7th for $500, sir, not 2.
Oh, you know, as Clegg L. That's a different account. I transferred that because she said that she needed to put it into a savings account. So just a
second. You have 2 that you've outlined on January 7, both to Clegg M.
Okay.
She only received 1, but they're 2 different numbers. Hold on a second.
Yeah, there's 2 bank accounts. I mean, one of them was
whoa. Wait a second. How many different bank accounts do you have?
I have 2 savings, and I have 1, which the L is my mother.
That's where you told me to transfer.
No. I have are 2 different savings account numbers.
Yes, I do. I have 2 accounts. I have
2
that's
different
my
savings
mom's, and
accounts.
I have 2 other savings accounts.
Show me those 2 savings accounts.
I can show you on the internet. I don't have anything with that.
Don't show me on the internet.
Yeah, there's nothing. I have nothing.
Well, then you take a look at these.
Okay. Yeah, Clegg L is my mother, not me.
I just put it in the account. She told me to put it in.
You owe my mother money.
Oh, now I owe her mother money.
No, I believe you. Mr. Olmsted,
Yes, ma'am.
I see where you gave her $1,500. She says she only received one payment of $500. That's a lie.
Yes, ma'am.
She received 3 payments of $500. 2 went into her savings accounts and 1 went into her checking account.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't believe that he only gave you 1 payment of $500. Now,
One of the Clegg L is my mom.
I don't care.
But that goes towards the TV?
His defense is that he gave you money after he moved out. Some of it was for his credit card, for his lawyer, and some of it was for the TV, $1,000 for the TV, which at that time, that's what was owed on the TV, which he paid for. He said the fact that you didn't make the payment on it and it went up to $1,200 is not his problem. If I believe him, then he doesn't owe you any money for the TV.
I put $1,000 down on that TV too, which I have proof of.
I don't care. TV, listen to me. All I'm concerned about is whether when you moved out there was any money due and owing on the television that he kept. And there was.
Yes.
And I find that he paid you for it. Now, the next thing I'm going to go over with you, what you say you loaned him for rent.
Yes.
Now I'll hear what you say you loaned him for rent. After you broke up, after you moved out, go.
I paid $2,600 to rent. He came to me in January of '09 and asked me if I could help him because he could not afford it and it would not look good in his divorce if he didn't have a place to stay. So I paid in January 2nd, I believe it is, I paid $995, which he was planning on paying me after his divorce. And
just a minute. Put your hand down. I saw it. Didn't you see me looking at you?
Well, I'm just making sure you saw me.
I couldn't miss it. Now, first show me proof that you gave him $2,600.
Okay. Here's that 1, 2, 3.
Don't give him anything. What are you showing me here?
The withdrawals out of the account were the rent for his house. That's a Wells Fargo account. It goes into a Bank of America account. And I had cash so that it wasn't the exact same amount every single month because I was...
Did she give you any money towards rent?
She didn't give me any money. She paid, I mean, yes, she did go pay the rent for us.
When?
January, February, March, but she received half the rent from him, so I don't know why she pulled out $900.
Shh. January, February, March. Now, she was not living with you then.
No, she moved out in December. Just stuck us with everything. Just moved out.
And who were you living with at that time?
He moved in, or he decided to stay to help me with the rent since she moved out.
Was this apartment in both your names or just your name?
It was just in my name, but we lived there together, yes.
Did you move in together or did she move in?
Yes. We moved in together in December of '08, and she moved out in December of '08.
Where had you been living before?
We had a house that we rented. We wanted to get into a cheaper place, so we got into a place that was $300 less a month.
When you lived in the house, were you sharing expenses?
Yes.
And why did you move out in December?
Because he was with my sister's best friend.
Yeah, that's a very good reason to leave.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Even if she thinks it, it's a very good reason to leave.
It is true, but the reason we split up is because she cheated on me.
I don't care.
So.
Actually, that's for another program, another time slot, not mine.
Okay.
I don't actually care about that. All I want to know is she moved out, the lease is in solely your name.
Yes.
And would you tell me why she paid any of the rent for January, February, and March?
She was helping me out, like she said. You know, I didn't have...
She was helping you?
Yes.
Why, if she was furious with you, because that's what she says, she was furious with you.
I didn't say she was furious.
Why? She says.
She says she's furious. I didn't. Why?
No. Listen to me. Hey.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Why would somebody who is furious with you, she says she was furious with you, give you money?
That baffles me.
I wouldn't give you a penny.
I wouldn't either.
She found out about him being together with her friend.
Listen, go get your 15 minutes someplace else, but don't shout out here.
I'm not trying to get 15 minutes. I'm just trying to state facts.
I don't want you to state anything unless I ask you to.
I raised my hand earlier and I didn't get a turn.
Excuse me.
But tell him not to go far in case I need him.
Will do.
I'm pretty sure we'll need him.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Just as long as she knows that he's here. The gentleman, Motormouth, who was here a moment ago, did he give you any money?
No.
towards rent?
He gave me zero.
You never got any money from him?
From him, no. If it came from his account, I don't know where the money came from.
Did you get any money?
That $500 that I put on there that says Tim's half of rent on that page, yes, that's the $500 of Tim's half of rent.
Who is Tim?
Motormouth.
Motormouth.
Yes.
Okay, so you got that money.
That's it.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. So you got $500 of the 26 that you gave him, which means you're out $2,100.
If that's what, can I ask
you're
you
out
something?
$2,100.
Can I ask you something? Is that going towards the TV?
Forget the TV. The TV's over. I've already made a judgment on the
but
TV.
if you're accounting that $500 transferred from his account that you see out of Newell Olmstead's account into my account, the $500.
I thought it was from him.
It's out of Newell Olmstead's account.
Oh, well, you can't use that same $500, Mr. Olmsted, 10 times.
I'm not.
You can only use it once.
Tim gave her...
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me. You might be a very, very nice man and have many redeeming qualities. You're not George Clooney. Nobody who's not living with you, sir, is going to pay $2,600 for your rent. Not somebody that looks like that. Do you understand? Take a good look. Somebody that looks like that is not going to pay $2,600 for your rent after she's already broken up with you.
I agree.
But that's what she did.
No, she did not. Tim paid her $450. His part of the rent, he paid her. So that's not true. Yes, she helped
I don't
me.
believe that. And I don't believe Motormouth.
Okay.
I don't believe you should have had nothing to do with her. After you separated, you should have nothing to do with her. How come she gave you money? Did you call her and tell her that you needed money for rent?
I asked her to help me with rent. Yes,
Good. You owe her $2,600. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Currently separated from your husband. Is that right? And you've been separated for about 3 years. Yes. Is he here today?
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am.
And according to your answer in this case, you separated from him because he was a king problem.
Yes.
That's why you separated.
Yes.
You filed for divorce.
He did.
He did in December.
Yes.
And hopefully that divorce will be finalized soon. The two of you have 2 children.
Correct.
The plaintiff is his fiancée.
Correct.
And you've been together for about a year.
Yes.
And you're planning to be married as soon as the divorce is finalized.
That's correct.
Do you live together?
Yes, we do.
How long have you been living together?
For about 8 months.
According to your complaint, you gave one of the girls, one of their daughters, who was graduating from elementary school.
Yes, that's correct.
3 outfits. And according to you, Miss Casio destroyed those outfits. She was annoyed at something. And then later at the graduation made a terrible scene at the graduation.
Yes.
Which embarrassed and humiliated you. Ms. Casio says that the outfits weren't destroyed, and she says that you had no business being at the graduation. You should have stayed home. She told her separated husband that he shouldn't bring you, and he defied her and brought you, and that's what caused the incident at the graduation. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, let me straighten you out on that score because that's freshest in my mind. You have no business telling him who he can bring to his daughter's graduation. This child has 2 parents, and you're no more of a parent than her father is. You don't have any right to tell him who he can bring to the graduation and who he cannot. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
So what do you think gave you the right to tell your husband not to bring her to the graduation?
I didn't tell my husband, I told my daughter.
Ugh, that's even worse. That you told your daughter to tell her father that he should leave her home? Is that what you did?
Exactly, that's what I did. Judge.
You're outrageous. That's an outrageous thing to do on many fronts. First of all, you never use a child to transmit messages from one parent to another. Certainly nothing negative. If you want to say, listen, would you like to come to my house for a graduation party? That's a nice thing. But you never use a child as a telephone to transmit a negative message from one parent to another. That makes you a bad mother. You don't want to be a bad mother, do you?
No.
Well, I'm telling you that was something that only a bad mother would do. So I would rethink that. Having said that, you have no business directing what goes on at your daughter's graduation. It's not your graduation. It's your daughter's graduation. And unless your daughter doesn't want her for some reason, she should be there. She's part of her life. You may not like it. That comes under the category of too bad. You got to get used to it. You got it?
Yes.
You have any questions for me?
Nope.
Good. Now, what kind of a scene did you make at graduation?
I didn't make no scene.
What did she do at graduation?
Your Honor, I have a video cassette of her behavior.
I'd like to see it.
It's right here. And I have never met her, and why she acted this way and insulted me in front of everyone and made a scene, especially Erica started crying. The other daughter with her 3 infant, you know.
Excuse me? What did you call me? What did you call me?
Mom.
That's what I told you. Why?
Stupid.
Because you are.
It's Erica's
graduation. Why? You need God.
Because you are what?
You need God in your life.
Really?
Yes.
Mom, stop.
Yes. You do. I've never done anything to you.
Why did you call her? Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Why did you call her a name?
Because I was upset that she was there at my daughter's graduation, Judge.
You owe her an apology. Your behavior was outrageous. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't decide that you're going to change your way of doing business, you're going to lose custody of your daughters. I'm telling you that. I'm an old family court judge. And I'm telling you that if you're going to put your daughters in between their parents, and if you're going to behave in an irrational way, you will eventually lose custody of your girls because they will say, I don't want to live with my mother. She's a nut. Now, what did you do with the outfits that she brought for your daughter? And I better get a truthful answer, otherwise I'm going to have to embarrass you and bring your daughter here. So I want you to tell me what you did with the 3 outfits.
I didn't do anything.
Where are they?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Your Honor, I have a recording of the daughter on June 24th, where she called my cell phone, and pictures of my outfits burned.
I'd like to see them, please. Where were these pictures taken?
Apparently, she burned them, and either she walked into my property or threw them right next to my truck, keyed my car, and I have a police report.
Oh, well, she's crazy. Sir, I think that you ought to go into court and seek custody of your daughters. I wouldn't let my daughter stay with her. There's something mentally wrong with her. Mr. Casio, step up. Step up, sir.
Yes, Your
Listen
Honor.
to me very carefully. How old are your daughters?
12 and 16.
Well, the 16-year-old daughter is going to tell you where she wants to live.
Okay.
And unfortunately for her, she probably will say, I have to stay with my mother because I feel sorry for her. But certainly, if her behavior continues to be so irrational, you might find it in your 12-year-old's best interest to pursue custody of that child, because somebody who behaves in this fashion is not capable of taking care of a child.
I agree.
That's my judgment. Now, 12-year-old probably is not in physical harm in her custody, but she certainly is emotionally in danger, being with somebody who has so much anger. Who are you?
I'm her friend.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, totally.
Is there anything that I said that you find wrong?
Not anything you said, but things she said.
Anything I said?
Not a thing that you said.
That's all. I said anybody who behaves this way for no reason, who can do this, who uses their child as a messenger for hateful messages, is a bad mother. Because a good mother doesn't do that. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I was spending the night before the graduation at Myrna's house to go to the graduation, and I
Just a minute. You're her friend and you were going to graduation?
Yes.
What gives you the right to go to graduation as a friend?
Because her daughters like me.
What gives you the right as a friend to go to their graduation? Because their mother invited you?
Yes.
That's why she was there. Now, let me ask you this question. Would you believe that he was acting like a nut if he came up to you and called you vile and vicious names and told you to get out because he didn't want you at the graduation? Would you think he was acting like a lunatic?
Not necessarily.
Well, what would you think of his behavior?
Listen, if I had been told prior to coming that I wasn't wanted there by my daughter calling...
Just a second. Erica, her daughter did not say, I don't want you to come to graduation. No, listen to me very carefully, madam. She said, I told my daughter I didn't want her at the graduation. That's what she said.
Oh, let's bring Erica.
I'm not going to do that, because that's what a bad mother would do.
She's not asking to bring Erica. I am.
I'm telling you, she didn't turn around and say to you, oh, I wouldn't do that to my daughter. She's a bad mother. She's so full of anger and hate in her heart that it obscures her judgment as far as being a good mother. And she better change, otherwise her daughters will grow up to hate her. They will hate her.
And as far as her going over there and doing whatever she claims she did, it didn't happen because I was with her.
I'd like to hear what the child said on the answering machine. Could you bring it up here, Bert, so I can listen to it?
Go ahead and press the middle button. That's a message she left on my cell phone at 6:20.
My mom is burning your clothes. You think your daughter was lying when she says, my mom is burning your clothes?
We had an argument that morning, Your Honor.
So you just think it's serendipity that your daughter calls and says, my mom is burning your clothes, and the clothes turned up burned in front of her house. You think that those two things just came aligned in this universe? You better go see a good therapist, madam. You need a good therapist. Do you work?
Yes, I do work.
What kind of job do you have?
I'm a phlebotomist.
Better spend a little more time at work and a little less time hating. Spend a little less time hating. It didn't work out. 52% of the marriages in this country don't work out. She didn't steal him away from you. You threw him out. That's what you told me. You said you didn't like the way he behaved, so you threw him out. She found him. You should be grateful.
She can keep him.
Listen to me. That's right. You should be grateful instead of having a heart full of anger. Believe me, if you have a heart full of anger, you're never going to find anybody, madam. Okay. Nobody wants somebody who's miserable and angry. You'll spend the rest of your life alone. How much did you spend for the outfits?
I have the receipts
Just
here.
tell me how much you spent for the outfits.
180.
Now I'll take the receipts, Bird.
Plus pain and suffering and...
You don't get pain and suffering.
Loss of work and...
Listen to me very carefully, Ms. Galazzo.
Yes.
What you wanted was for her to learn a lesson. I don't know whether her ears were open. If they were, fine. If not, she's going to be the loser, as are her two children. She's responsible for the burnt clothes because she burned them. Her bad behavior has just been memorialized in front of 10 million people. Unless she changes her course of conduct, she's already been pre-warned that her children are going to grow up hating her. You can either put a period and move on and say, I had a marriage, it didn't work out. But out of this marriage came two lovely children. Just listen to me carefully. And then try to put yourself on some medication, maybe. If you don't already take it. I have two beautiful children. I want to devote myself to them and to making myself a happy life. And I don't want to be angry with somebody who's taking a burden off my shoulders. And you don't control what happens with your girls, because your girls have two parents. And you won't have them at all in your life if what you continue to do is to disrespect their father. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $180. That's all. Young man, right? The neighbor of the plaintiff?
And not of the plaintiff, of the plaintiff's witness.
And this is your boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend, yes.
How long has he been your ex-boyfriend?
Since about last November.
And how long was he your boyfriend?
About 18 years.
That took you a long time to decide he wasn't the right one. Huh?
Sometimes you don't think.
Was there any particular reason why you terminated the relationship?
We just weren't getting along anymore.
Did he drink a little bit?
No, he never drank.
Never?
Before we started going out, he drank, but he never drank during our relationship.
Now, you were riding a bicycle?
Yes, ma'am.
With your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Where had you been riding?
We usually rode 10 to 15 miles a night, just around our neighborhood and just around our block and so on and so forth.
And at what time of the evening did you return to the house?
It was probably between 8 and 8:30 in the evening.
So it was dark?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you always ride at night?
Yes, we did. It was
have
mostly
lights
at
on
night.
your bikes?
No, we don't.
Are you supposed to?
Yes, we are.
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Do you wear a helmet?
Yes, I do.
For what?
Safety reasons, in case somebody pulls out in front of me and
Right.
Right.
That's why you have lights on bikes if you're going to be riding at night. And so tell me what happened, Mr. Leach.
Our street was very dark. It has no street lights. I was pedaling, and her car is the color of night. It blended in, and it was parked, if I can show you on the diagram, it was parked probably a little farther back, but it was, to me, it was illegally parked. And it was on a corner. I was pedaling, and I looked up, and next thing you know, under the tree, next thing you know, I hit the front end of the car.
Okay, so Mr. Leach, we are talking now about certain things that you can do nothing about, because as night follows day, that's science. And in science, it's going to get dark outside. So when you're driving a vehicle, what they do is when a vehicle is operating, they put lights on the car so that you can see where you're going after night falls, right? So it's not the night's fault that you hit the car.
Oh.
Now, cars can be painted in many colors. It's not the car's fault that it was painted the color of night, right?
Correct.
So it can't be the car's fault that it was that color. Now, how long do you think this big tree has been living on the corner?
I couldn't tell you.
10 years?
Since before he moved in.
Yeah.
The tree didn't move, right?
Correct.
So it can't be the tree's fault that you hit her car. And the last thing that you said was her car, you believe, was parked illegally.
True.
But the car didn't move.
Correct.
There was only one thing that was moving. Mr. Leach, that would be you.
I totally agree.
Now, Miss Evans, tell me, you were awakened to the alarm going off in your car?
No, we were watching a movie. I was over at my friend's house.
And what
happened? It was around 11 p.m., and I heard my alarm going off.
So the alarm did go off as a result of being hit?
Yes. So I walked out, and they weren't near my car. They were walking away from my car. And I walked down and looked at my fog light, and my fog light was broken on the ground. And I walked back up halfway to the driveway, and that's when Kathy stopped me.
Had you known her before that evening?
No.
So you never met her before?
No.
She walked up to you and said?
And said, we were riding our bikes, and my boyfriend hit your car. And I looked over at him, and he was laying on the grass with his bike.
That's not true.
And
shh, Mr. Leach. Shh, Mr. Leach, look at me.
And Kathy said she was going to run and go get her information, and that she did not want to go through the police. She did not want to go through insurance. That she wanted to pay cash. And she walked back over and said he had some to drink, and that here's her information to put estimates in her mailbox, and that she would get back to me. And she gave me her number. She gave me her work phone, her cell phone.
Miss Fry, did you write down your telephone number, your work number?
I gave her my business card.
What did you give her your business card for?
For the purpose of, I had walked over and explained that he had hit the car and that he was lying on the ground because he had hurt himself when the bike hit the car. And I said, I will get you the information and you can get estimates and the two of you can work it out. I brought her the information back over. I never stated that he was drinking because he wasn't. And I never stated that I would pay her cash because I am not the one that hit the car.
What do you want to say?
I was standing there and listened to her state that she would pay Brandy in cash to settle the matter.
Tell me your last name.
Curran.
How's Curran?
I've lived there approximately 6 years.
Okay. Mr. Leach.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no reason why Miss Fry should take responsibility for this.
Exactly.
So if the court were going to enter a judgment, it would have to be a judgment against you.
Correct.
So that, Miss Fry, you may sit down. Thank you. Now, sir, you're there all on your own. In 10 seconds, give me your best shot as to why you're not responsible for this.
I never said I was not responsible. I hit the car. But what I am disputing is they brought over estimates for $1,400 for the car, which to me was a little outrageous. We told them to get another estimate in a local place. They've done work on our cars before, and they were more reasonable. They probably given a reasonable rate. They never went there.
Mr. Leach, let me stop.
Sure.
A second. Is it that you don't like the amount of money that she's asking for because you believe it's excessive, or that you don't believe you're responsible?
The amount of money, and then we had an estimate for $1,400 and $1,600. Now it's $1,800.
Well, now she's going to show me the estimates.
I have
and the photographs.
The first estimate that I gave them, that was for the $1,400. When I gave it to her, she asked me to go and get another one with their body, a place, and it shows it was only a month afterwards, not even a month after the accident, that I have for that quote.
Just a second. What was the name of the body shop where you wanted them to go?
Boulevard.
This is one of those from Boulevard?
Yes, and that's my third one.
Can I see it, please?
We never got that one.
We never got those.
Shh. I don't care whether you did or not. Now I have them. So am I correct? Boulevard gives you $621.72?
Mm-hmm. That was just the paint that they said. They didn't say anything about the hood. That is, I have pictures of my hood and where it's not aligned with the other side from where he fell on it. And
Your Honor, I did not fall on the hood.
I have your handlebar marks on my hood.
Well, there is damage to the hood. All right. Anything you want to say?
I just, I want to know. She got an estimate from Boulevard, for just paint. Well, you know what? If to me, if I'm going to get an estimate for the body work, I'm just not going to ask for paint for the $600 and something. I'm going to say, I'm going to say, hey, it's just, I need the body work done. I don't understand that.
I went in and asked for an estimate, and that's what they gave me. I didn't ask them just to do paint.
Did you ask them for an estimate to fix it or to paint it?
To fix it. I said I needed it fixed.
The damage to this car can't be done for $600. She's got something wrong with the hood of the car that's going to have to be pulled out, painted if it's going to be done right. The $1,300 is a reasonable estimate. Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,360.64. Thank you.
Thank you.
This son, this little boy right over here, is responsible for breaking your son's saxophone at school. Mr. Witt's son says that your son started the problem. He was first bullying him, and then he took property from him, a comic book, and threw it to the ground, which caused him to take a bag containing the saxophone and throwing it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you all have a seat? Tell me your first name.
Daniel.
Brian.
How old are you, Daniel?
13.
How old are you, Brian?
12.
Stand up by on your own 2 feet and put your hands down at your sides. Don't lean on the table. Daniel, in the past 3 years, how many times has your mother had to come to school because you've had disciplinary problems?
None, ma'am.
Brian, in the last 3 years, how many times have your parents come to school because of disciplinary problems?
3.
How do you think I knew that? You think I'm psychic?
I know you're not, ma'am.
But I knew that.
Yes.
How do you think I knew? He's cute. He's trouble. Gotta look at his face. How many children do you have, sir?
2, ma'am.
I got a few more. I know the face. I know the look. It's got attitude, which is a good thing, but it's got to be channeled. That's what I'm here to do, Brian.
Yes,
Channel your attitude. All right. Tell me, when did this happen in school?
Before school started.
Tell me what happened, please, and keep your voice up.
Yes, ma'am. We were standing outside.
Who's we?
Me, Brian, and 2 other boys.
Friends of all of yours?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, and we were all standing around my saxophone, and I made a comment, and I said, why are we all standing around my saxophone? Are we going to praise it? And we all started laughing, and one of the other boys started making these unfunny jokes, and Brian picked up my saxophone and threw it against the ground.
Now, was the saxophone in a bag?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Brian say anything to you when he did that?
He said, oops, in a sarcastic tone and started laughing.
You had to use the saxophone subsequently that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened?
I tried to play, and only 3 of the notes I could play would come out.
Did you have it fixed?
No, ma'am.
So it's still broken?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Brian. Remembering that I know everything.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me your version of what happened on March 14th.
We had just arrived at school, and I went over to Danny and our friends, and he started making comments about me.
Who started?
Danny or one of his friends.
So either Daniel or one of his friends started making comments about you. Like what?
They had made fun of... I don't really remember.
So what happened next?
I'd gotten mad, and he threatened to throw my book.
Who threatened to throw your book?
Danny.
What did he say to you?
He had said something about my mom or a family member.
He did, or his friend?
He did, I believe.
You get over with this kind of stuff with your father? You don't get over it with me. Where was your book?
It was beside my book bag on the ground.
On the book bag? And this is a story you told your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do?
I had gotten really mad, and I picked up his saxophone bag. I didn't even know there was one in it.
What did you think was in it? His lunch? Huh? What did you think was in the bag, the instrument? What did you think it was?
Gym clothes or books.
Go ahead.
I picked it up and slung it up against the wall.
All right. Mr. Witt, would you stand up? How much did you pay for the saxophone in the pawn shop, Miss Adolph?
It was around $300.
Did you get an estimate on fixing it?
Yes, I have an estimate, Your Honor.
Can I see it, please?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Witt, you want to say anything to me?
Yes, ma'am. I don't think my son was right on what he did.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
And you also don't think that he told me the truth, do you? And they didn't tell you the truth either, because I read your answer, I read his statement, and nowhere was the word "I believe" in there. Somebody said something to me, it was Danny or one of his friends. Well, who said something about your family? Him, you sure? No, it could have been somebody else. Did he tell that to you? Or did he tell you when he came home, but the explanation that he gave you was that this young boy was teasing him, he was bullying him because he's taller than he is, and that's what started this? That's what he told you, because that's what you wrote.
And I didn't pay any attention to that.
Oh, great. Mr. Witt, perfect. Don't pay any attention to it, because you know why? Because it's not true.
It didn't matter. It wouldn't be a good excuse to break somebody's things anyway.
I know, but the most important thing is this young man thinks that he can get over. And that's a real problem, because he's 12. And if he thinks that he can get over when he's 12, and you had to go to school at least 3 times with him for disciplinary problems, after the first time it would have been too many. So you look like a very nice man, and you look like the kind of man who accepts responsibility. And you said even if he was picking on him and threw his comic book to the ground, it was no excuse for breaking his instrument. All perfect, responsible, reasonable things. The only thing is you've got to infuse that to him, because he's getting too old. He can't get away with cute anymore. You understand me, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. You have brothers and sisters at home?
1 sister.
How old?
9.
So you're the example?
Yes, ma'am.
And your father works?
He's retired military.
Your mother works?
Yes.
So your father worked his whole life, your mother works, they provide for you, they provide a home for you, they put food on the table, they take care of you. You know what your responsibility is?
School.
Your responsibility is to grow up to be a nice human being.
Yes, ma'am.
And a responsible human being, and a trustworthy human being, and a human being that tells the truth all the time. Mr. Witt, your defense is, according to your son, he was being bullied, which we both know is not true, and B, that they were asking for too much for the saxophone.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to hear the second part, that they were asking too much for the repair of the saxophone.
Well, I got a copy of the estimate.
I'd like to see a copy of the estimate. It's exactly what I have.
Yes, ma'am. I believe some of the items on there are maintenance problems that have nothing to do with
Major belly and body damage, $120. Bent keys and rods, $150. Repair part, $44. What's out of line to you? Absolutely nothing. So, okay. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $351.22. Remember what I said to you, sir? If you listen to any part of what I said to you, believe me, your life will be much happier. That's all. Your boyfriend for a brief period of time, and according to your complaint, you made a series of loans to him. You want your money back because he broke off the relationship. He says that he did break off the relationship. Any money that you gave him during the relationship were gifts because you cared for him. He needed the money. That's what people do who care for each other. They help each other out. And the only time it became a loan was when he broke up with you. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you, Mr. Emerson?
30 years old.
Ever been married?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Just once.
When and for how long?
I was married when I was 20 for 9 years.
You have children?
2.
How old are your children?
9 and 10.
Do you see them?
Almost every day.
So you're a good father.
I try to be, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Emerson?
I work for the railroad.
And how long have you worked for the railroad?
6.5 years.
Pay child support?
Yes, ma'am.
What about you, Miss Price? How old are you?
32.
Ever been married?
Yes.
When and for how long?
2000 until 2005.
Have any children?
2.
How old are they?
5 and 13.
Do you work?
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm self-employed hairstylist.
Children see their father?
Yes.
Do you pay child support?
He's disabled, so they get Social Security.
And your former wife, sir, what does she do?
She has an in-home daycare.
So it would be a fair statement, Mr. Emerson, to say that both of these families are sort of struggling to make ends meet financially. That be a fair statement?
I wouldn't say that I'm struggling, nor would I say she's struggling at all.
Really?
That's correct.
You think there's plenty of money to go around?
I do.
Then why would you take money from her, Mr. Emerson?
I didn't take any money.
No, listen to me, sir.
Oh.
You did take money from her. Whether it's a gift or a loan, you did take money from her. right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, if these two families are in pretty much similar circumstance, why would you take money from her?
Things come up, you know, things need to be paid. She offers to pay for those things. I wasn't going to say no.
Why not? Is my question. Why not? Would not a person with a certain moral compass say, listen, you're a working gal, you got 2 little children, I'm a working guy, I got 2 little children.
Somebody offers me money, who am I to say no?
A creep. That's who you are. Because whether I determine this was a gift or a loan, you're a creep. You're not talking about somebody who's got plenty of extra cash and says to somebody that she cares about, listen, I got a lot of extra cash. You need something, I'll help you with it. You were pretty well aware of the fact, if you were dating for a while, that she's a hard-working gal who comes home from work, takes care of her kids, does the cooking, whatever, does everything that has to be done. And you, on the other hand, who see your children every day, which is really very nice, probably have much less responsibility with regard to doing their laundry, with their appointments, with regard to doing the general stuff, what I call the grunt work, because your children do live with their mother, don't they?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we're going to decide whether you are a creep that took the money because it was a loan or a creep that took the money because it was a gift. Either way, I don't approve of your behavior. When did you start dating Mr. Emerson?
The 2nd week of May 2006.
Tell me when and under what circumstances he asked you for the first amount of money.
He wrecked his bike. The fork broke. He said that he didn't have the money to pay for it. Sent me a text message. Can you do me a huge favor? That's how all of them start.
Could you do me a huge favor?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What did it say?
I need money to pay for the fork for my bike.
Okay.
So I said under the condition that he make payments, whatever. Eventually it's got to be paid back.
When did you tell him eventually he has to be paid back?
I didn't set a date. I just said, you know, whenever you can pay me back.
Okay, so and how much was that for?
This check was for $409.81.
Okay, next.
Then he was having problems. He didn't have enough money to pay his rent. So
how did you find out about that?
He sent me a text message again asking him to help him pay his rent. And I said, how much is it? And he said it was $640 with late fees. I said, how much do you have? He said he had like $400 in the bank. And I said, I can help you out, but once again, it's, you know, we're adding this on. So I wrote a check for $640, but he gave me $403 of it.
Go ahead.
Then he had to get home. His brother's wedding was like a month before.
He had to go to a wedding?
To Montana. And, you know, we talked about it, and I'm like, I can help you out. If you want me to, whatever, I can help you out.
I don't want whatever. You're in court now, Miss Price. You have to be specific about what you said to him and what he said to you, and I want you to trust me on this. I know what you're making up, and I know what you're not making up.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
So a month later, he had a wedding?
Yes.
Where were you when he asked you for the money for the trip?
We were at a bar.
And what did he say to you?
He just said that he didn't have the money to get there. Could I help him out?
And what did you say?
I said, I can do what I can, you know, but...
And how much was that?
The plane ticket was $346.60, and the Greyhound bus that I put him on, because I waited till the last minute to get the plane ticket, and it was going to be $900. So I wasn't going to do that. I didn't have the money to do that, and he knew that. So I sent him on a Greyhound, and that was $159.
Okay, and that's it?
Yes.
And what date was that?
He left on the 1st of August and returned on the 8th.
And when did you and Mr. Emerson stop seeing each other?
He came in on the 11th, which was a Friday, at about noon.
To your salon?
My work, yes. I proceeded to give him and his son a haircut at no charge, thinking everything was okay, because we'd had no problems up till then. And I got a text message 6 hours later from him saying that we needed a break, and, you know, this wasn't working, it was moving too fast. And so we went back and forth through text messages, and I said, you know, I have the right to know why you're feeling this way. I've done everything in the relationship I've given.
And he said?
He said, since you're giving me an ultimatum, it's over.
Okay, now, Mr. Emerson, it's your turn. June. June!
June, the mountain bike. I wrecked my mountain bike. It was going to cost about $400 to fix it. I had talked with Peggy about the price, and she offered to pay for it.
What would you talk to her about the price for?
Well, we're in a relationship. We talked about, you know, I talked about wrecking my mountain bike and, you know, what it was going to be to fix it. And
why would you tell her that? Why don't you tell your ex-wife that?
Actually, I did tell my ex-wife that.
Did she give you any money?
No.
You have living parents?
Yes.
Yeah, well, your mother loves you for a longer time than the plaintiff did. Why don't you call your mother and say, I broke my spoke?
I didn't need to. The plaintiff had already offered to pay for it.
She wouldn't need to have offered to have paid for it, Mr. Emerson, if you didn't have a problem. And you wouldn't have had a problem if you called your mother or your father or your brother or your sister and said, Could you loan me some money? Then you wouldn't have even had to mention it to her.
It wasn't offered to pay for it, ma'am.
Well, what about Mr. Emerson? You need not do that. I only know you 8 weeks. And I wouldn't think of taking any money from you because I have a mother who gave birth to me. I have an ex-wife who I support along with my 2 children. I have a brother, sister, father, you know, who I've known a long time. I wouldn't think of taking money from you. How about that?
Didn't even cross my mind.
Nah, that's because you're a creep. Now, Mr. Emerson, you want to tell me what cathartic event happened between the 1st of August when you went home to your brother's wedding and the 11th of August when you had your hair cut and your son's hair cut for free at Miss Price's salon that caused you to send her a text message that said, we need a break?
It had been leading up to that.
I want you to tell me the cathartic event between August 1st when you left on a plane ticket that she purchased for you and when you came back on a Greyhound bus ticket that she had purchased for you that caused you to say, we need a break.
Okay, it was...
Follow my train of thought, sir.
It was big deal was the plane ticket. She tells you she's going to do something and she'll play along with the story. I'm going to do this. I've got it taken care of. Don't worry. I'll do it.
Just a second. Just a second. Let's get rid of the gobbledygook, sir. What you're complaining about is
the fact
what
that she does not follow through.
Listen, what you're saying is she sent you home by bus instead of plane. Is that what you're telling me?
That was one of the problems, yes.
Oh, very good. Major creep. Major creep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,154. That's all. Friend, according to your complaint, he assaulted you, causing you to have medical bills. He made it so because of the stress that he created by his actions that you couldn't work, thereby causing you to lose your apartment and the lease. He owes you for the assault, for pain and suffering, for your medical bills, etc., etc., etc. Mr. Byman says that you were a nag, you bugged him over his drug use and his lack of employment, that you pushed him and things sort of got out of control.
Correct.
How long were you, Mr. Byman, together?
We started dating on February 17th of 2005. And soon got engaged after that.
Are you engaged now?
No.
To anyone?
No.
So this baby is his?
Yes.
When did you move in together?
We moved to San Diego in April, and we were in a hotel room trying to find an apartment for 3 months, and then finally got an apartment on June 6th of 2005, and we were there up until the end of October when we both were evicted.
But he wasn't living there when you were actually evicted from the apartment?
He was in jail.
And when was he incarcerated?
He was incarcerated 3 different times for
the last time.
The last time was October 12th.
The arrest was for an assault on you. Those charges were somehow disposed of, but he had prior arrest warrants, so he was held.
Technically, it was October 8th, and I had a court case in Sacramento on October 10th. After I couldn't make my court appearance because I was in custody in San Diego, Sacramento put a hold on me. I spent 10 days down in San Diego, and then finally they transported me up to Sacramento to take care of my case up there.
What kind of case did you have there?
I think it was 475 of the Penal Code.
Don't play with me.
It was intent to defraud, ma'am.
Intent to defraud who?
A bank.
Were you sentenced yet?
Yes.
To what?
90 days of work project and 4 years of probation.
Is that the only outstanding case you had?
When I was arrested one of the 3 times, they tested me for drugs and I came up positive.
How long have you had a drug problem, Mr. Byman?
Off and on for years.
How many years? 10?
Started smoking weed at 13 years old, so probably since then.
How old are you now?
26.
13. But you graduated from marijuana too?
Methamphetamine.
Did Miss Garcia, was she aware that you had a drug problem?
Yes.
Did she have a drug problem?
No.
That was poor judgment on your part.
Thought I could help him and save him. Move him to San Diego and get him away from the drugs and the crime.
Well, that's fine. You can try to save him. You don't have to have a baby in the bargain.
Yeah.
Now, according to what I read, Mr. Byman, in the complaint and in your answer, a lot of the fighting that occurred while you were together was because of your drug use and lack of employment. Is that right?
That was part of it, but just money was also a big issue.
Lack of employment.
Yeah.
And then you said something interesting in here. You said, well, at some point you went into a drug rehabilitation program.
Yes.
But you and I both know, Mr. Byman, that when you have a 13-year drug habit, a 10-day rehab program doesn't cut it. Like putting a Band-Aid on an open heart surgery. It doesn't work. Have you since gone into a long-term residential program?
Actually, I'm looking right now.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
So you want to tell me what happened in October?
In October, we had many nights where I stayed up trying to help him through his problems. And that night, I had come down on him saying that what is something bad got to have to happen to you to get you to do the things that you need to do. And I can't marry you until you get a job. I'm on disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
I have lupus, and I've had 2 major back surgeries. I've had actually 7 surgeries in the last 5 years. And so, therefore, my benefits would be taken away if I married him. And that was one of the major fights. That night, he got very forceful with me. And
look at me.
I slipped out of his arms and got out and left. I left a message on the phone. I said, are you going to stay? I need to know. He never called. I decided that I would just come back in the morning. When I got there with my girlfriend, he was still there. He had slipped out the door. We passed each other and didn't say a word to each other. Basically, we were wanting to find out if he was using still at that point, and it was pretty obvious to me. I stayed there for about 4 hours, got some things ready, then took my girlfriend home. I was gone for about 2 hours, came back, and at that
What'd you
time,
come back for?
I had nowhere else to go. I was pregnant and exhausted. And
why didn't you stay with your girlfriend?
Why didn't I stay with her? Didn't even ask. It was the apartment. I thought he was gone. He left when we were passing.
What makes you think that he was gone? Just because he walked out then?
Because he was leaving. He had his stuff packed and he was leaving.
He had stuff packed with him when he left?
Yes, he said he was leaving.
The only thing I had with me, Your Honor, was a laptop.
He had a backpack, suitcase.
All your clothes there?
Yes, clothes.
Okay.
All my...
So you went back, Miss Garcia?
Yes, I went back. My dog.
You went back?
I went back to my apartment.
You went back. Don't make excuses. Who is this?
This is my mother.
Don't make excuses to your mother. You went back.
Yeah, of course I went back. My girlfriend did not have a place to stay for me to stay
Go to
either.
your mother's house.
My mother lives 600 miles away.
I don't care. Get on a plane. If you're afraid of somebody, that's what you do. You don't go back to the apartment, knowing that all of his clothes and stuff is still there.
I wasn't that afraid of him at the time.
Okay, so you went back.
So I went back.
Okay.
And he showed up. He was actually in the apartment hiding behind the bedroom wall and jumped out at me. And that's when he held me down, saying something to me, just listen, and was holding me down. He would pick me up and throw me on the couch, and then I would slip out of his hold, and then he would catch me and do it again, and then catch me and do it again. And that went on for about 45 minutes. I remember screaming through the window, help, help, at the top of my lungs, that I didn't have a voice afterwards. I finally, don't know how, but after he hit me in the stomach, I don't know if it was with his fist or with something, but I couldn't breathe.
Did you hit her?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I was able to run through the hallway. I had my keys hanging up in the hallway there on this caddy, and grabbed them and ran out the door. He followed me outside, down the stairs, and proceeded to want to hold me down. And then I think he realized that we were outside, and I was crawling to the car to get into the car to lock myself in the car. And my neighbor saw me, called the police, ambulance came. I was in sinus tac. Went into trauma for about 6 hours. They kept me over the night, watched the baby, make sure the baby was okay. It was about 5 months pregnant. So, which the baby's fine, thank goodness. But we have not been together since.
Go ahead.
I've tried to get him to help pay these bills off. I've been paying them little by little what I can.
Which bills?
The apartment. I haven't started paying the apartment bill yet, which is the eviction and the attorney's fees and what we had owed on the last 2 months, or what he had owed on the last 2 months, actually. He never paid rent, not once. That and the Time Warner Cable, SDG&E, cell phone bills, you name it. I'm paying all of it. We still owe about $11,000 right now, and I'm currently just paying $25, $5 when I can.
Well, show me. Show me that you're paying them.
Let's see. Here's a bill for, there's just 1,000 of them. The bill for the TV, the bill for...
I don't want you to show me the bills. I want you to show me that you paid them.
Yeah, it's got receipts attached to them.
Great. Can I see it, please?
These are the receipts. Let's see here. Then I've got my ambulance bill. I don't have the hospital bill yet.
You have the medical bill there?
I have the ambulance bill. I don't have the hospital bill.
No. What I want you to answer, Ms. Garcia, if you are on disability, which means you also have medical coverage based upon your disability, I want to see what the disability covered. You have Medicaid?
They haven't covered this. I just got this in the mail. And it's Medi-Cal, yes.
Medi-Cal. Well, then that has to be submitted to them.
Yes, it does. I think he should have to pay it, though. Why should the state have to pay something that he caused?
You want a check written to the state, written to the ambulance? Well, that means that he's going to give you less money once this baby is born. Wouldn't that be stupid?
Yeah, like he's going to give me any money.
Wouldn't that be stupid?
Would.
All right. Let's not play around with each other.
The bill that I'm here for, the $5,000 bill, I have not started paying on this because I don't have the money. That's why we're here. I'm suing him for this money.
What bill?
This is our apartment eviction bill. We got evicted. There's attorney's fees. It ends up being $5,493. He assumes that I'm going to pay this. I'm not.
Oh, you're not. You're not. You're just going to pay half.
I've paid half since we moved into that apartment.
No, that's your choice, Ms. Garcia, my dear. That's your choice. If you chose to stay in that apartment and you chose to move in with him knowing that he had a drug problem, you were trying to save him, your saving him didn't work out, I'm not interested in the fact that you assumed the responsibility of paying the rent despite the fact that you had an agreement that you were each going to contribute half. Just as if it didn't work out between the two of you and you had to stop working or doing whatever you do because you were pregnant, I wouldn't permit him to come to court and say, well, didn't work out. I paid all the rent. We had an agreement that she would pay half the rent. She stopped working. So I chose to continue to pay the rent. You even went back there in October hoping that it would all work out after you left the apartment and came back with your friend. Now, I'd like you to tell me your version of what happened on the 8th of October.
Actually, it started on the 7th. We got in an argument about the money that we owed when we went to court for the eviction. They gave us 2 weeks when we went to arbitration.
Hold on a second. You mean you were still together at the time that you were being evicted?
Yes.
Is that right?
We had gone to court during the first month that they approached us and put a note on our door.
Ms. Garcia, you understand what I'm saying to you. In the apartment, the landlord moved to evict you for non-payment of rent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I paid
now it becomes clear. Go ahead.
Well, we got in an argument over what we were going to do. I was trying to come up with the money some way, somehow. Couldn't.
Look at me. Don't look at the desk.
Sorry. Well,
you're still looking at the desk.
Force of habit. I
Don't.
apologize. Anyway, we argued about the money, how we were going to come up with it. Things got loud, and she ended up just taking off for the night, at which this point I stayed the night, and she came back, like she said, with her friend, which then I grabbed just my laptop and like a jacket and stuff and just took off for the day. Came back around 5 in the evening, at which point she started screaming and yelling, like, what are you doing here, you sick? I told her I was just trying to get my couple things and go, and that's when everything started escalating, and she slapped me in the face and then scratched the other side of my face, started throwing objects at me, at which point then I did restrain her from hitting me with anything else, and at that point she started screaming, help me, and that went on for a little while longer. Then she ran downstairs like she said, and I got arrested.
You understand that you are responsible for half of what the landlord is owed. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, that's $2,718.
Well, I didn't pay for either the down payment, the first month, or the second month. My mother actually paid for all that.
And?
I think she's entitled to that, at least, you know, since...
You mean she's entitled to what the landlord owes her?
Altogether, probably, yes, because I didn't pay for anything, like she said. I mean...
I'm not interested in that, sir. Just let's understand that. I couldn't be less interested in what her mother put down, what she put down as a down payment. Those were their choices. Understanding that you had a drug problem, that you lost your job the first week that you moved into the apartment. What you should have done was to move out the first week that you moved into the apartment if you weren't resolving your drug problem. I'm not interested in what her mother did and what she did. I'm interested in what's owed the landlord. So if what's left on the lease is $5,437.17, you're responsible for half of that. But the check will go directly to the landlord. You have to cover the rest. $2,718. Check will be written to the landlord. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. That's all. Thank you. Miss Inslin said that she would take over the lease payments on the car. She did. You broke up. She took the car with her. She drove the car for a considerable period of time. The lease was about to be up. The payoff was too much. She said, you can have the car back. I don't want it. You were forced to pay the payout on the lease, which, according to your complaint, was about $5,000. Miss Inslin says it was your car. It's your problem. That's your defense.
Yes.
When was the car leased?
October 6th of 2001, and it was leased by myself and Aaron.
Okay, and how long did you drive the car together?
Until, I believe, February of 04. Aaron had found employment, and basically we agreed that I would get another car in my name, and Aaron would take over the Eclipse and make the payments.
And you did that?
Yes.
For how long?
The lease was up 2006, October. I called him a few times a couple months before saying that I couldn't afford the car. It was really breaking me. So obviously there was no way I was going to be able to pay it off. And he just refused to take it off of me.
Well, but you had an agreement with him, Miss Enslin.
Yeah, as long as I'm driving the car, I'll pay for it. There were times where I called him and said, I don't want it. I don't want to drive it. It was never discussed of bringing back the lease and me paying it off.
Well, what did you expect
I'm not even
to happen?
on the lease.
Miss Enslin.
I'm a co-signer for the loan.
Correct.
I'm not on the title of the car. It's
But
not
you
my
are
car.
co-signer on the loan, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, you had this car in total. How long, sir?
The full lease, 5 years between the two of us. Erin had said that she had no intention of keeping the car yet. I
believe she had intention of keeping the car as long as it was just like a lease. I'm speaking, Mr. Mooney. I believe that she had the intention of keeping the car and paying for it until it was no longer advantageous for her. You have a car now, Miss Enslin?
Do I have a car?
That's my question. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I have a car now.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a Dodge Spirit.
What year?
94.
Where did you get it from?
My parents.
Your parents gave it to you as a gift?
Yes.
When did they give it to you as a gift?
The October of last year.
So at about the same time that you said, I can't afford these payments anymore?
At the same time the lease was up for his car.
The same time the lease was up on a car on which you were a co-signatory?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Can I please see the payout?
This didn't become an issue until there was damage to the car, and basically she'd gone over on the mileage.
How was the car damaged? Miss Enslin, you don't know. How was the car damaged?
There's a scrape on the side of the car.
How did it happen?
I hit something with it.
Why didn't you fix it?
Because it happened right before the lease was up. And his girlfriend at the time was actually looking into buying it, and her dad owned a garage, so there was a point where we thought that they were going to fix it and buy it and just take it off of whatever she paid for it.
Who do you live with?
My boyfriend.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an assistant.
Assistant what?
Assistant to a businessman.
What kind of business?
He owns a small production company.
You mean theatrical?
No, music.
And what does your boyfriend do, Miss Enslin?
He's a writer.
And what do your parents do?
My mom works in a factory. She's an accountant. And my dad fixes the roads and works for the township.
How old are you, Miss Enslin?
25.
You have to grow up and stop being a baby. If you have a responsibility, you're supposed to take care of the responsibility. You're not supposed to stick somebody else with your responsibilities. You were going to assume the responsibility on the car until you decided it was too expensive a proposition for you to take it over after the lease. So what? You relied on your parents to treat your car so you could get to and from work and not have to take care of this responsibility. You have to grow up, madam. Beauty fades, dumb is forever. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. You were trying to be nice to her and she have a credit card. If you would take it out, make her a co-holder of one of the cards. You did that for her. And the understanding was the bills would go to her and she would take care of the bills. And it is your claim that subsequent to that, she wanted to buy a motorcycle. And again, you agreed to be a friend and you co-signed the loan for the motorcycle with the understanding that she would make the payments promptly, which she failed to do. You subsequently found out that not only had she taken out the one credit card, but because she had all of your information, she took out a series of credit cards and built up a balance of thousands of dollars. She was also behind on the payments. She was behind on the payments on the bike as well. As a result of that, your credit, which had been pristine, took a dive. So you're suing for two things. You're suing for the return of the motorcycle to you or its value so that you can sell it and get out from under the payments. And second, you want damages for her ruining your credit. Ms. Seifert says that she kept her end of the bargain. She has paid on the motorcycle, although she acknowledges she doesn't pay in a prompt manner. She pays when they threaten her. That's not what she says, but I gather that's the case, that when they threaten to either sue her or repossess the motorcycle, she makes a payment. That still doesn't positively impact on your credit. And she says that she kept her end of the bargain by making the payments on the credit card. She also says that you opened up all these credit cards for her, not just the one that you say, but all of the others. When did you open up this credit card with her as a co-card holder?
Probably around June of '05, and there was only one card. And if there was all these credit cards...
No, just don't, you don't have to answer for her.
Okay.
You opened up one
June
credit...
of '05.
And with what financial institution?
MBNA, MasterCard, and both our names are on it.
And as far as you know, that is the only card that you authorized her to get?
Yes.
With your information?
Yes.
How many cards did she get using your information?
4 or 5, counting the second MBNA she took out, that she succeeded. I have documentation.
I'd like to see it, please.
Your Honor, there was only one MBNA card. There wasn't two.
I have how many?
There was two Chase. There was one MBNA.
No.
Ms. Seifert, how many cards did the plaintiff agree to take out in your name?
Ma'am, I went to creditcards.com with her information
listen
because
to me. Listen.
we never determined a number. The cards that I had, that I used, several of them were mailed to her home, to her address. I didn't go to her house and steal those cards.
Miss Seifert, you don't honestly expect, coming here today, that you're going to get over on me.
No,
right?
I don't. I'm
Good.
just telling you.
So then let me ask the questions and don't skirt around the answers, because I'll take you and I shake you. And then I get the answer.
Okay.
You came to the plaintiff and asked her if she could take out a credit card and put you as a co-holder on a credit card so that you would have a credit card to start to build up your credit. That's what you asked her, I assume. Is that right?
She offered.
Well, how would she know that you needed it, madam, unless she knew that you didn't have a credit card?
Because we were going on vacation together, and we were talking about finances for vacation and the things our kids could and couldn't do.
And?
And I explained to her that I did not have a credit card with much credit on it.
That's okay. Good. So she agreed to get one credit card. Now, after she got the one credit card in June of 2005, when did you apply for the other credit cards?
I did it all at the same time on creditcards.com when I got the one credit card.
Just a second. I told you, don't play with me.
I'm
I'm smarter than you are. You just said to me, I got the other credit cards on creditcard.com after I got the one credit card.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what you just said. I have a tape.
The one time on creditcards.com. And several cards were mailed to her house, and she knows that.
Don't tell me what she knows. Why did you take advantage of a situation where she said she would
It
get
was
you
very
a credit
bad
card?
judgment on my part.
Now, credit cards, did you use them to make purchases?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay all the credit cards on time?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Then you ruined her credit.
Then I signed to be responsible for all of them, all the papers she asked me to, and it was taken off of her credit.
Listen to me. You show me where, once you signed a piece of paper to be responsible, because so far you're irresponsible, it impacted positively on her credit. Show me.
I don't know where it acted positively, but she was even told it was taken off her credit after the affidavits were signed, and I also have 2 receipts for $6,500 we've paid her.
Just a sec. For?
Towards the credit cards.
Well,
and
you didn't pay it to her, you paid it to the credit card for things that you bought.
No, we gave it directly to her to take care of it.
Doesn't make any difference, madam. Don't you get it? Once you become a deadbeat in the credit card world, you don't automatically become not a deadbeat just because you pay the credit card. You remain a deadbeat.
But they said that because they called it fraudulent, it would come off of her report.
So you acknowledge that you fraudulently applied?
No, she made me sign those papers because if I didn't, because I'm on probation, she was going to call my probation officer, which she threatens to do all the time.
Sounds like a great idea to me. Now, let's get to the motorcycle. She also co-signed a loan for you for a motorcycle. Is there any reason why you did that, madam?
I was trying to be good-hearted, which I will never do again.
You have children?
Yes, I'll never even co-sign for my children. I've learned a lesson the worst way.
Okay. Now, do you pay for the motorcycle on time?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Which means that you have destroyed her credit.
Yes, ma'am, I probably have with the motorcycle.
Good. Now I'd like to see what papers you have.
They asked me to bring, I brought a picture of the motorcycle. She wants the motorcycle back, but the title is solely in my name. So if she wants the bike back, she's going to have to get my name off the title that she lets ride that bike, and she's not capable of riding it herself.
Just a second.
And then I have a statement now that shows that all my payments are current.
You make your payments late.
Well, I mean, it shows that I'm current right now.
I don't care whether you're current right now. You make your payments late. Can I see the title to the motorcycle, please? When did you co-sign on the motorcycle?
October 05.
How much have you paid on the motorcycle?
I've made all the payments except the ones she made, and I paid her back for them.
How much do you pay?
$250 a month, ma'am.
How much is the loan?
She owes, right now, there's still almost $12,000 owed. Right here it is. $11,818.42 owed.
Who are you?
Becky's boyfriend.
Stand up. What do you do for a living?
Run a rubber mill.
You earn a living?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why don't you refinance this motorcycle?
I already have one in my name.
So what?
I don't know, ma'am.
What?
This was between them.
Well, I understand that, but you live with her. You sleep with her.
Yes.
So why should she be on the hook for her bad credit?
She was having trouble with her credit way before us.
I'm asking you a question. I just said to you, she sleeps with you, you live with her. Why don't you, the two of you, refinance this motorcycle and get it out of her name?
I've got too much in my name right now with my house, my cars, and My motorcycles, so
Your motorcycles?
I have 2 motorcycles, yes.
Well, why don't you sell one?
Because I like them.
Yeah, but you have a problem. You live in a home with this lady, and she's got a problem. So why don't you
Right,
help her
and-
fix it?
Well, I did. I took out a 401k loan and paid off the credit cards that she had with her to help her out. I mean,
What does she do?
Huh?
What do you mean, huh? What does she do?
What does she do?
Yeah, what does she do?
As far as
As far as a livelihood,
she works in a doctor's office.
she make a living?
Yes.
So why doesn't she refinance it?
Your Honor, I don't know.
Why don't you refinance it?
I can't get it just in my name, Your Honor.
Well, maybe you can get it in his name. He owns his own home.
Well, we haven't tried that, but the last time he tried to get a loan, they said he had too much credit out.
Then why don't you sell the motorcycle?
I just haven't found anybody that'll buy it. It's not worth what we owe on it.
Now, she says she wanted to sell it. Her problem was she couldn't get what was owed on it. So you would have no problem signing it over to her, right?
As long as it's out of my name, I have no problem, and I've told her that
Fine,
before.
absolutely perfect. Have her sign this over to her,
That's
please.
a memorandum title, ma'am.
So?
But that is not the actual title.
I understand
Okay,
that.
that's
The
what I'm
actual
asking.
title has a lien on it. She can deal with it. As a matter of fact, we'll prepare that
Okay.
order that you'll sign.
That's fine.
Good. Now we know that this is now your motorcycle. We will prepare that order. Now you're suing her for $3,000 because in addition to the return of the value of the motorcycle, you want damages for ruining your credit, right?
Yes.
And hopefully the $3,000 that you're suing for that will help compensate you for the loss that you're going to suffer on the motorcycle. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Judging for the plaintiff, in the addition to the order that this will now be in your name, subject to the lien, judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Thank you. That I have some familiarity with the kind of business that you're in. Do you want to explain it to Bert, or would you like me to do it?
The nature of the business?
Yes.
Essentially, I have my friend Ronald here who has been in the business for 12 years, and he...
Ronald doesn't have to explain it.
Okay.
I'm going to, in very simplistic terms, explain it to Bird. You tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
Simple. You have this vitamin bottle, because that's what they sell, vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronald, that's this guy over here, he's been in the business 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes sells these vitamins. But what he does mostly is get other people under him who sell vitamins. And depending upon at what level they buy in, they could buy in with $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, they get product. He brings him in. Mr. Sincere over here buys $5,000 worth of product. He gets a piece of that.
Sure.
So it's like slavery, you know. What you do is he brings in, what's your first name?
Damien.
He brings in a lot of Damiens. Damien 1, Damien 2, Damien 3, Damien 4. And whatever Damien orders from the business, not sells,
Right.
but orders from the business, Ronald gets a piece of.
Multi-level marketing.
Correct. Now, so then it inures to Damien 1 through 5. They say, listen, we want to be Ronald too.
Of course.
So we're going to see if we can get, what's your name? Amy. A whole bunch of Amy's under us to buy as much product as he can, because they get a piece of whatever Amy buys.
Of course. And
And
him
they
too.
also, and so does Ronald.
That's right.
Because Ronald gets a smaller piece of Amy, but he still gets a piece of Amy. And then, what's your name?
Davey.
What's your name?
Cody.
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 I want to get a whole bunch of Codys because that's the way I'm going to make my money. And he's going to get a little piece of Cody, and he's going to get a smaller piece of Cody, but everybody's going to get a piece of Cody. That's the way the game works.
Oh, yeah.
Got it?
That's right.
Pretty much. Now, you also reach certain levels in this business, because if you're a master, or if you're a guru, or if you're a titan, or if you're an Ogatunji, whatever it is, what happens is they give you perks.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get perks in your business, like a car?
If you get high enough, you do.
Ah!
Yeah.
You
I'm not
think,
there
you think
yet.
this is a scheme that I haven't been through a couple of times in my life?
No, I didn't say
All right, I got it. So if you get up really high, if you get to be a Grandmaster Ungatunji, they give you a BMW.
Of course.
Or they give you a Mercedes. So there are advantages for Ronald to get a whole bunch of Damians, and for Damians to get a whole bunch of Amy's, and for Amy's to get a whole bunch of Cody's, because in addition to getting the money, you also get the perks. That's the drill. Now, Damien over here got Amy involved in the business, and she bought inventory. How much worth, sir?
It was worth $5,000.
What are you asking him for? The questions are going to get harder.
Oh my! I think it was worth about $5,000, and he actually put up $3,300.
Okay, but you put up the money for her
Yes, I did.
on your credit card
Yes, I did.
because you were hoping that she was going to do well in the business, and she wasn't such a good salesperson. And she couldn't find a Cody if she killed herself. She couldn't find a Cody. So you ended up getting stiffed for your money.
Correct.
And she sent back some of her product.
Right, some of it.
But you want, because you're stuck with the bill now, because you're not a Grandmaster Ogatunji yet.
Right.
There isn't any such thing as a
There may be, I'm
Grandmaster
not that high
Ogatunji,
up,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I sort of made that up because it sounded funny. So you want her to pay you the money. Miss Brown says you gave her all kinds of sales pitch. You told her she was going to make a fortune, that there were Codys floating around under every rock, that she was going to be able to sell these vitamins, that they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And she couldn't do it because she was no salesperson. And since you didn't help her, she sent back the product that she hadn't used. If you have the bill, that's your problem. Okay, we have certain things that we understand. We understand that he bought in for $3,300 and put it on his credit card. That is an agreed state of fact. It is also agreed that you agreed to pay him back that money for starting you in this business. This was going to be your business. You were going to be a grand female Ugatunja. Didn't work out. Wasn't your thing. So what did you do?
I asked for his help several times.
How did you do that?
Either phone conversations or via email.
And what did he say to you?
Usually it was, yeah, we need to get together and talk about this, which never happened. And after so many attempts, I just sent all the product back.
And what did he say?
He was fine with it as far as I knew. I told him I was going to do it, and he said he understood.
So, when did he decide to sue you?
I just was served about 2 weeks ago.
When was this that you sent back the product?
Believe it was May or June of 2006.
So why did you wait to sue her, sir? Is not an answer.
Okay. I wanted to work with Amy to give her an opportunity to pay back the remaining balance.
Well, had you asked her for it?
Of course.
How many times did you ask her for the balance?
Numerous. Both on the phone, and then when she started not returning my phone calls, our relationship was degraded. And I have in emails that she said she would indeed pay back the remaining balance.
Can I see it, please?
May I say something else, Your Honor?
Yes.
I absolutely did make every attempt to not only talk to Amy on the phone, but to get together with her, to involve her in opportunity meetings. Ronald also met her in Anaheim for a meeting. I feel like we put forth a very fair and aggressive effort to assist her with this.
It is clear to me that over the course of several months, you agreed to pay him.
And I agreed to make payments.
So why didn't you?
Because at the time I had lost my job, I was laid off, and I just bought my condo. And
you just bought your condo?
I just bought a condo, and then I was laid off, and then I was trying to get caught up with my other bills, which were a priority.
Well, then you acknowledge this debt to him.
A portion of it.
Well, which portion of it, madam?
I agreed to, okay, he had agreed to help me with.
Listen, we're beyond that. We had agreed to help you. Now I have emails where you clearly acknowledge the debt, which belies what you told me, that he breached his contract to help you, which is why you don't have to pay him. So now we know that you agreed to pay him. So I'm asking you why. Is it because you bought a condo?
No, the condo was prior to even meeting him.
Well, so what does that have to do with paying him back?
Well,
for your
no,
business?
I had been laid off, and that's when I met him, and he convinced me to do this so that I could make money. Then
it didn't work out, and you returned the product, and you still said, I'm going to pay you. So what stopped you?
Well, I didn't agree with the amounts that he was saying I owed him.
Well, how much do you say you owe him? That's where I started 5 minutes ago.
Okay, I believe I owe him maybe $1,000 just based on the portions of it that I was able to sell.
Well, how much did you sell?
Maybe a couple $100 worth to just...
Where are your records?
There's no record. I mean, you sell the container to people for cash.
What do you mean, you sell it for cash and then you don't report it to anybody? Not even the government? How do you expect to pay your taxes?
I don't know. This is something he was supposed to help me with.
He's not supposed to help you with that. This is your business.
Well, this is what he promised to help me with. I have the emails where he stated he promised to help me as well.
How much product? $3,300. How much product did she send back?
She returned $699.30, which was credited to my credit card, and she gave me a personal check for $300.
And you cashed it?
Of course.
Good.
Also, Your Honor, originally I gave Amy a can, 2 cans of product, which I said you can pay me back for. Just give me the same cans once you get your order, and she never did, so I had added that in as well.
You're going to have to live with that, sir, Damien.
Okay.
So she returned $700 worth of product, bringing it down to $2,600, and she gave you $300, leaving a grand total of $2,300. And
they actually prorated that. That they don't refund you the full amount, so they only give you, I think, 80 to 90% back.
And
that's what was credited to his credit card.
Well, that's all right. He has to be made whole. You're a big girl. How old are you?
36.
What?
36.
36. 36 years old. You make a decision. It doesn't work out. You have to take care of the consequences. These are slick guys. This is the way they make a living. They find people who are young, looking to start a new life, starting a new business, not worked out in other fields, and they say, listen, you can make a lot of money. And some people make a lot of money. Ronald makes a good living, right? Damien, I don't know. Do you make a good living?
I'm working on it.
Well, how much did you earn last year?
With Just For You Live?
Yes.
I'd have to look at my tax return.
Let's try to give me a round ballpark figure, Damien.
I'm going to say probably around $8,000.
8. You make a lot more. You've been there 12 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been in, Damien?
About 3 years.
Oh, when you're there 12 years, you're going to have that Mercedes you want.
I hope so.
What kind of car do you drive, Ronald?
I drive a BMW.
Now.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The business has a 1-year money-back guarantee. So at any point, she could have returned the product and got 90% of her money back. The business isn't designed for people to fail. If they don't want to do it, if they get a new job, that's okay. So if there was ever a discrepancy, she could have returned all the product and Damien would have got reimbursed. So.
But she didn't.
Right.
She's got to pay him.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,300. Thank you. That's all. Guaranteed. You see, Miss Johnson over here got stopped by the police for a traffic infraction. The first time you were stopped, what kind of violation was it, Miss Johnson?
Speeding.
Speeding? And how fast were you going?
I think I was going like 60, I think, 50.
Could you keep your voice up, please?
Like 60 or about 55.
And when she got stopped for speeding, according to the complaint, which is, you know, not disputed by the defendant, she gave her cousin's name. Your cousin?
Yeah. Yes,
she gave her cousin's name because she didn't want to get in trouble. And that worked out just fine, except she never showed up to pay the ticket or anything else. She just let it go. Right?
Yes.
Then she got stopped again. And she figured it worked so well the first time, according to her.
Why not?
She gave her cousin's name again.
This must be her favorite cousin.
And what did you get stopped for the second time, Miss Johnson?
Running a stoplight.
In what jurisdiction do you live?
Los Angeles.
She again gave her cousin's name.
What can I explain the first time, you know?
It's not funny. I don't think you're funny. I don't think you're funny at all. So let me go further, and then we're going to get the details of this fiasco because, you know, I like to sort of lay out the situation. So she gives her cousin's name twice. Her cousin finds out about it. How?
I was getting insurance on my car, and the lady notified me that my license was suspended, and I had 2 tickets on my record. And I could not get insurance until the license was cleared up.
So your license, they suspended your license?
Yes, ma'am.
You're lucky they didn't issue a warrant for your arrest.
Yes. And this was, I was driving around. I didn't find out till like 10 months later that my license, it has been suspended 5 months before I even knew about it.
So she and her cousin discuss it, and she decides to do the responsible civic thing and goes to court and pleads guilty.
I plead guilty.
Yeah, she pleads guilty.
Okay.
And and they assess her fines. And this is what the case is about. She wants her cousin to pay the fines, all the fines, for the 2 tickets she got.
Your Honor.
And the cousin says, I don't know. We're family. Because I was trying to understand what your defense is. So before I go on, I want to tell you both the following. What you did was a crime, Miss Key. Do you know that?
No.
Well, I'm going to explain that to you. When you go into court and you pled guilty, someone said to you, raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And then they said to you, what is your name?
Dwani Key.
And you told them your name. And then they said, how are you pleading? Guilty. You said, I'm pleading guilty. And you're pleading guilty because you were guilty.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you were doing. When you enter a plea of guilty, what you're doing is you are perpetrating a fraud on the court. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a crime. You can't do that. You can't do that. And when you gave her name, that is a crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Is this the first time somebody told you it was a crime?
No, it's not.
When for the first time did somebody tell you it was a crime, Miss Johnson?
The second time after I did it.
You mean you didn't know the first time?
Well, the first time I was intoxicated and I just said the first thing came to my mind.
So not only were you speeding, you were drunk and speeding.
It was my birthday. Well, I mean, I was turning 21. So I was intoxicated that day.
Judge, the only reason why I pled guilty, she agreed to pay me. So we didn't have to go through all these court processes. She said, I'll pay you for it, don't worry about it. Under that, I said, okay. Once I got that money, I told her, this is how much it costs, you owe me this, and it has to be done by August 8th. That was our court date. I didn't get any money but $50 from her.
Just a second. You have a driver's license?
Yes, I do.
Go get it.
Your Honor,
Go
at the time she did.
Get your driver's license.
I didn't bring it with me today.
Go get your pocketbook. Get it and bring it in. Fast. Empty your pocketbook. Is that your driver's license?
My California ID.
I'll take it. Now empty your pocketbook.
I don't have the driver's license here.
Then empty your pocketbook.
You want me to take everything out of my purse?
I want you to give me your driver's license.
I didn't bring it. I didn't drive today.
Unless this court receives your driver's license, madam, within 3 days, it is my intention to inform the police department in Los Angeles to confiscate your driver's license. Do we understand each other? Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I ask why, though? I mean, this is
because you perpetrated a fraud on the court. Her driver's license was suspended when yours should have been suspended. Don't you get that?
And I had a face to appear.
Don't you get that? Your driver's license should have been suspended. You were driving according to you drunk. You got a speeding ticket. You gave somebody else's name. The second time you did the same thing. You ran a red light and gave somebody else's name. And you still have a driver's license. Your driver's license should have been suspended. And if I don't get your driver's license so that you don't have it, it is my intention to inform the police department in Los Angeles, which I may do anyway. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
This belongs to me. Now, you have 30 seconds to tell me why you don't owe those fines.
Because I was under the impression that she did community service.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Well, she told me she was going to do community service.
She's not doing community service for you. Why should she do community service for you? What are you doing?
She was doing it for herself.
I don't understand what you mean she was doing it for herself.
Meaning because that's my name.
I don't understand what you mean she was doing it for herself.
Because she called me and told me that the judge ordered her to do community service. So when she told me that, I thought it was taken care of.
What do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm not employed.
How do you support yourself?
I have ways.
How do you support yourself?
My daughter's father.
Supports you?
Child support, basically.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Why don't you work?
I was employed. I just recently stopped.
Why?
I was working through an agency, and they're looking for another job for me.
What kind of car do you drive?
A Cadillac.
I asked you a question. An answer I want.
A Cadillac.
What year?
98.
In whose name is the car?
It's in my name.
Where is it registered?
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
She just got that car, so she had plenty of time to pay me back. This car is brand new. Paid cash.
You must get a lot of child support. In any event, Miss Key, to whom do you owe the fines?
The Los Angeles District Court from Traffic Division, I believe.
And how much is owed to them?
Roughly $1,700. One ticket was $1,189, and the second ticket was $565.
Now, Miss Key.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get any award for brains, because what you did was so wrong. And I understand that you may feel as if, well, it's family and you didn't want her to get into trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
But what you did was against the law. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you deserve to have a consequence. I assume that you did already have a consequence.
I had enough.
You had enough?
Yes.
I believe that that's probably true. She hasn't had any yet, but believe me, she's going to have plenty, because she's not going to have a license to drive around in this new Cadillac that's in her name. Because I had this. And the police department is going to be no. You get it? Perfect. $1,754, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. To $4,200. So Mr. Bray says that you didn't make any loans to him. Taking out loans, you and your brother, you were pretty flush with cash, and you gave him a couple of $100s when he needed it, but that was about it. So, when did he become your boyfriend?
In September.
Of what year?
06.
Could you keep your voice up? I'm getting old. And when did you make the first loan to him?
September 20th of 06.
So as soon as you met him, he needed money?
Yes.
How old are you?
21.
And where do you live?
In Marysville, California.
Who do you live with?
I live with my parents.
Do you work?
Currently, I don't.
How do you support yourself?
My mother gives me money for gas to look for work, and that's it.
Who were you working for in September of 2006?
Singular Wireless cell phone company.
What were you doing for them?
I was a customer service rep.
For how long?
For 7 months.
What were you earning?
Around $2,000 a month.
Did you file tax returns last year?
Yes.
How much did you earn?
$11,000.
Where did you get $4,200 to lend to him?
From loan companies.
Show me.
Hey.
What are these check cashing things?
Those are payday advance companies. You go in and you write a check, and on your next payday you pay them back.
Were you living at home when you were doing all of this stupidity?
Yes.
Well, tell me all about it. I'm really curious. All in September, September 29th, October 2nd. So days after meeting him, you started giving him money, according to you.
Correct.
Yeah, and?
He actually worked as a loan agent when I had first met him. About a month after I'd met him, he had told me that he resigned from his job. He had told me he liked money coming in from different directions, that he wanted to borrow $200 in the beginning for a business license so he could help promote a rap group. He would help pay me back once he would receive that money. For help promoting those groups.
And what if he didn't receive the money for helping to promote the groups?
He told me that was a for sure thing.
But nothing's for sure. Maybe he didn't get any money.
He told me it was a for sure.
How many different times do you claim that you gave him money?
10 different occasions.
10?
Yes.
And you're telling me that you never used any of this money yourself?
I did.
You did. That's what I thought. How much of the money that you took out in loans did you use yourself?
About $1,900.
Let's say $2,000. How much did you take out altogether?
Altogether around $5,000.
Altogether $5,000. You used $2,000 for yourself, which leaves $3,000 that you say you gave to him.
I used that money to pay back loans. I pulled out
other
multiple
loans?
The loans that I had pulled out, I used that money to pay them. I would pull out a loan and then I would pay it back by pulling out another loan.
What I asked you, Miss Blanchard, was how much money of this money that you took out did you use for yourself?
About $900.
Well, first you told me it was $1,900.
That was the total of the money that I had used, but part of it was to pay back the loans. About $1,000, around $1,000 was for myself.
And what did you do with the $1,000 that you took out yourself?
I was using it for gas and to live off of.
How do I know what you kept for yourself, to use for yourself? Who are you, the brother?
Yes, I am.
How much you gave to your brother of the loans you took out? Because you gave some money to him. We know that, right?
No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, sure you did. You took out some, you gave some to yourself, you gave some to him, and I think you gave him some. And you figured it would never catch up with you.
No, that's not what happened. My brother got $100, if that.
Well, so now you gave him $100. He says you gave him nothing. Is he lying?
No. He's not lying.
Well, he just said you gave him nothing.
I didn't.
I'm speaking. Is your sister lying?
No, she is not.
So she gave you money?
Not handed, but more like buying clothes, products.
With the money she borrowed?
Yeah, she has to pull out loans.
You acted like a big baby with the loans. That's what you did.
I thought I was going to help him.
You also helped yourself and you helped him. And now you want him to pay for the whole thing.
I don't want him to pay for anything, just what's rightfully owed to me.
Well, there's no way of telling that, madam. How am I going to tell that? You kept no records. There's no question in my mind, based upon what you finally told me, that you used some of the money yourself.
The defendant made sure every time that I met him that I was by myself and that I had gave him cash. He did that purposely so that there was no records kept. He knew what he was doing. He was a loan officer.
Listen to me, madam. All you have to do is give him a check.
He told me he didn't want a check.
I don't care what he said he wanted. All you had to do was give him a check. All you had to do was give him a money order. But what happened was you took out all of these loans, some money you spent on yourself, clothes, gas, eating out. Some money you spent on your brother, clothes, according to him, no records. So how do you expect me to figure out what it is that you gave to him when you don't know? Now, see, I'm finished with her. Now I'm going to start with you.
All right.
Let's start out with this. How old are you, sir?
28.
Have you been married?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
Have children?
Yes.
How many?
One.
That child live with you?
No.
You pay regular support?
Yes.
To whom?
To the mother.
Directly or through the court?
Through the courts.
Which court?
Sacramento.
Do they take the money out of your check or do you send it directly?
I send it directly.
Have you been in arrears?
Yeah.
You think I'm asking these questions because I'm just making them up as I go? I'm smarter than you will be every day that you open your eyes for the rest of your life, sir. Do you understand that? Do you understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
Every day for the rest of your life, you're going to open up your eyes and you're going to say, I met a woman who was smarter than I am every day I open my eyes. You got it?
Yes.
Now, you took advantage of Miss Blanchard financially. You're 28, married, divorced, child who you don't support, no job.
I do have a job.
She had a job. She had the ability to take out money. She gave you money. She also paid some of your bills. Right?
Yeah, she did.
That means, sir, that you took advantage of her because you contributed to this relationship. Zero, nada, nothing, nothing.
Right.
That I can see, at least. Whatever it is, it's well camouflaged. Now, all I want to know from you, sir, is there's no question in my mind that you borrowed money from her.
No, I didn't.
Mr. Bray, this is not a give-and-take situation, sir. There is no question in my mind that you borrowed money from her and you said, when I get it together, I'm going to give it back to you. When the deal comes through, I'm going to give it back to you. Did she pay your cell phone bill?
She did it willingly on her own.
I didn't ask you that. I said, did she pay your cell phone bill?
Yeah, she did 3 times.
And tell me how it came about, Mr. Bray. You see, I'm an ecumenical abuser, sir.
I'll tell you.
Tell me how it came about that she paid your cell phone bill. How much do you weigh?
205.
How much do you think she weighs? A lot less than you, right?
Yeah.
She's a lot younger than you are. She lives home with her parents, right? Where do you live?
I got my own place.
And you've been on your own for a long time.
Yeah.
You've been to court a couple of times.
Yeah.
So you're a lot more worldly than she is. Tell me how it came about that she paid your cell phone bill.
She went into, we go through the same cell phone company.
She went in her own. I didn't even ask her to pay it. She would do it on her own, send me a text message like, hey, hon, it's me, Alicia. I paid your cell phone bill. And she did it up until November. I never told her to go and do that.
Just a second. I didn't ask you whether you told her. You know, believe it or not, Mr. Bray, I have had boyfriends in my life. I know that that sounds strange for you to conjure up, right? Strange. And unless one of them said to me, you know, I can't pay my phone bill, or my phone bill's overdue, or they're going to cut off my phone, I would never have known that they were overdue with their cell phone bill. So if something doesn't make sense, sir, it's not true. Do you get it? Now, you had no job, and you had a cell phone. If you have no job, then you don't need a cell phone.
I had a job. I still have a job.
I thought you gave up your job as a loan officer, sir.
I'm a loan officer, so I get paid 100% commission. I didn't quit my job. I told her the market was slow at the time when we met.
So you weren't getting any money?
Yeah, I still have other ways of getting money, though.
How?
I did a lot of promotions for a lot of guys. I don't know if you ever see them guys. Everybody want to be a rap star now. So since they were out there trying to sell CDs, what I did is I started a promotion company. I would come up with ways to try to help these guys market themselves, going into different clubs.
And you made a living
gigs.
at that?
No, it was something brand new that I just started at the time.
Money for the cell phone. Where did you get it from?
She paid it on her own. She really did, on her own.
Listen to me. The attraction, I hardly understand. Quite frankly. You have somebody of marginal intelligence who has no money, who has the responsibility of a child that he doesn't support, encumbered by a lot of things, including the fact that he's no stranger to the court system. All of these things. And you're a 21-year-old girl who lives at home with her parents. I don't get it. Must be a well-kept secret. In any event, you did a very stupid thing. How many times did you pay a cell phone bill? Three? What were the bills?
$50.
Each time?
Yes.
Okay. And how much money did she give you, sir? Not loan you. How much money did she give you?
I'll say about 16.
1,600?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, sir, by your own statement, we have $1,750. 3 months of phone bills and $1,600 in loans. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm going to make it an even 2,500. How's that? Pick on somebody your own size, why don't you? You know, you used to taking advantage of women?
And take advantage of her.
Sure
Get it on
you
her
did.
own.
Sure you did. You think you could pull that baloney on me? Look at this face. You think you could pull that baloney on me? You think you could pull that baloney on somebody who was worldly? You know?
I didn't pull anything.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't pull anything.
Mr. Bray, I don't get you at all. She does. That was her problem. You owe her $2,500. Get rid of the smile and pay the lady. That's all. Owes you a couple of months' rent and some utility bills. Ms. Cepeda says you told her to leave the apartment. She owes you nothing. Who signed the lease to the apartment?
I did.
So it was just in your name?
No, it's both of our names, but she never stopped by the office to sign it.
Listen to me, Miss Rendon. If she didn't sign the lease was in your name.
It was printed with both of our names, but she...
Show me the lease. I mean, are you not following what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be easy.
What happened was that...
I don't care what happened. This is a contract.
Yeah.
This is the only contract that exists with the landlord. Who signed it?
I did.
Period. We're going to start again. And I'm going to try to come down. You moved into the apartment. The lease is in your name only. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you moved in together.
Yes.
And according to you, you had an arrangement with her that you would split all the rent and all the utilities on this apartment. Lease is from September 1st, 06 to February 28th, 07. When did you move out?
I moved out January 31st.
Now, according to what I read, you paid January's rent, and then you went and withdrew money from the bank so that the check bounced.
Right.
Now, you try to explain to me why you do not owe January's rent if you lived there, according to you, until January 31st.
Because I wasn't really staying there.
I don't give a rat's behind whether you were really staying there or not. Your things were there.
Right.
So you owe January's rent.
Yes.
I would like to say something, Your Honor. She agreed to stay there till March 1st.
Why don't you be quiet?
Okay.
How much was your half of the rent?
$590.
Put your hand down. So far you owe her $590 for the month of January because you can't give her a bad check for January. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you pay the utilities in January?
No, I did not.
How much are the utilities in January? January only.
January, they're $90 a month.
So far, that's $680. Now, according to you, she also owes for February. Now you can tell me why she owes for February when she moved out January 31st.
When she first moved in, the agreement was that she was going to pay $590 a month until March 1st. It was a 6-month lease. Throughout that time, she kept paying her rent late. She also was very disrespectful to the point that she had people have sex in our apartment with me there.
Wow.
You want to tell me about February? Because so far you haven't told me about February.
I couldn't find a roommate. Obviously, I had to come up with the money to cover for February because she just pretty much left. She didn't even bother cleaning the room.
She says that you told her to leave. Is that right?
2 weeks before the end of January, she told me that she had found a new roommate that would be moving in in the beginning of February.
Who that was?
She told me a girl that she found on Craigslist would be moving into the apartment.
So you decided to terminate this roommate relationship
Yes.
well prior to January 31st.
Yes.
Because you had discussed moving out.
Right.
You say it was her fault. She says it's your fault. It was clear from reading the complaint and answer that the two of you did not have compatible lifestyles.
Right.
All right. Go ahead.
So in January, at the middle of January, I decided, I guess I don't have a choice. She notified me that I would have to be leaving the apartment because she found a new roommate, and so I decided, okay.
Where did you find this new roommate?
She was a friend of my ex-roommate, one of my ex-roommates.
And when did she move in?
She moved in March 1st.
So you had to cover the rent yourself in February,
Yes,
right?
I did.
That's too bad. She owes you $680 for January. Anything else?
No.
Anything else?
The bills, I mean, she didn't pay for the bills for January.
$680. Get over it. That's all. Divorce was
Còi xương nguyên nhân là do đâu và còi xương thì sẽ dẫn đến những cái hệ quả như thế nào? Chúng ta thấy rằng cái tình trạng đã có còi xương hiện nay ở trẻ Việt Nam có chiếm một cái tỷ lệ tương đối cao, và cái để có thể phát hiện được cái tình trạng còi xương của con thì mẹ có thể dựa vào những cái dấu hiệu sau đây để nhận biết. Thứ nhất là trẻ khó ngủ này, trẻ đầu tiên là trẻ sẽ chậm mọc răng này, lười ăn này, suy dinh dưỡng này, rồi bé khóc đêm thì khó ngủ này, cong xương ở chi dưới. Khi mà mẹ nhìn thấy những cái dấu hiệu như thế thì mẹ nghĩ ngay đến việc là bé bị còi xương, đúng không ạ? Bé bị còi xương. Một số biểu hiện dễ nhận thấy nhất khi bé bị còi xương đó là trẻ khó ngủ, thường đổ mồ hôi trộm vào ban đêm. Thứ hai là bé chán ăn, suy dinh dưỡng, thóp liền chậm, hơn 1 tuổi mà thóp vẫn còn rộng, bờ thóp mềm, vòng đầu to, có bướu chán và bướu đỉnh. Trẻ chậm mọc răng, dễ bị sâu răng. Từ 6 tháng đến 12 tháng xuất hiện các nốt ở đầu xương sườn hoặc là xương sườn bị cong gây biến dạng ở lồng ngực. Cong xương chi dưới, chân vòng kiềng, đầu gối vẹo ra ngoài, gù vẹo cột sống, khung chậu hẹp, chậm phát triển chiều cao. Đó là những cái dấu hiệu trẻ bị còi xương, và với cái tình trạng này thì mẹ cần phải mang con đi khám bác sĩ. Nguyên nhân gây ra cái tình trạng còi xương của con thì sẽ có những cái nguyên nhân. Thứ nhất đó là thiếu hụt canxi. Thì canxi là cái dưỡng chất rất là quan trọng giúp cái sự phát triển khỏe mạnh của trẻ về thể chất và cả về mặt tinh thần. Cho nên là trẻ thiếu hụt canxi thì sẽ dẫn đến cái tình trạng còi xương. Mẹ nhé, thiếu vitamin D. Vitamin D có nhiệm vụ hấp thu canxi, và thiếu vitamin D thì canxi không hấp thu được, canxi không hấp thu được thì cũng sẽ dẫn đến còi xương. Rồi thiếu folate. Folate là cái hợp chất dạng muối của phốt pho. Đây là nguyên tố thiết yếu đóng vai trò trong việc hình thành xương và răng. Vì vậy khi thiếu hụt cái folate này thì sẽ ảnh hưởng lớn đến cái hệ xương của trẻ. Rồi cái vấn đề thứ tư là trẻ gặp phải cái vấn đề hấp thụ. Thì một số trẻ sinh ra đã mắc hoặc là phát triển các cái tình trạng bệnh lý ảnh hưởng đến cái cách cơ thể hấp thụ vitamin D. Ví dụ như là bệnh xe lắc sơ nang, vấn đề về thận. Thì khi mà trẻ gặp những cái bệnh lý như thế này thì ảnh hưởng đến việc hấp thu canxi của bé và dẫn đến những tình trạng còi xương bé nhá.